Hey, this is Soma79 with a special announcement. My new Mega Mix is up. My MF Doom Mega Mix, Oxidation Moons Day, is now available. Go to www.soma79.com/doom to check it out. It's a 30-minute mix that I did of MF Doom raps over my own beats. I really enjoy it. I hope you really enjoy it. So check it out. Tell a friend. Peace. Hey, welcome to the newest episode of the Articulate Ox podcast. I am your host, Soma79. Thank you so much for joining me. My guest today is Brian Life. I was so excited to have this guy on the podcast. Life was a dude that was sort of like a mythical creature to me when I was younger, because I knew his name from years, just from not only just my own knowledge of underground hip hop in this area, because he did a bunch of album covers that are kind of iconic around these parts, and also just through my friends, my first real kind of hip hop friends, they knew him and I knew of him through them. But he was a graffiti artist, and I never was introduced to him. I didn't know what he looked like. I just knew his work, and I wasn't going to start asking questions like, oh, who's Life? Tell me who he really is. But because that really wasn't the way you're supposed to do things. But so for years I knew who he was, didn't know what he looked like, just knew his work, and I really admired the stuff that he did. Because he is a pioneer of Boston hip-hop. I mean, the Boston hip-hop scene doesn't have a ton of really iconic stuff, but I would say some of his art is amongst them. We talk about one of the earlier episodes of this podcast with my man 3SK. That was back when I was having guests suggest a topic, like something that inspired them, and he picked the Acrobatic EP that I actually still have right here, that Life did the cover of. And this EP means a lot to people in Boston hip-hop. So it was no surprise 3SK picked it, and it was no surprise someone like Brian Life did the cover of it. So we get into a lot of cool stuff here. One thing I'll tell you, he's doing some really, really neat, amazing things with AI now. And kind of far into this interview, he just shares the screen on the video version, and he just walks us through what he's doing with it. And the visuals he's showing are really quite amazing. So I know this podcast is available in audio and video medium. I plan on keeping most of that stuff in the podcast, if not all of it. So I would recommend that if you are a listener on the audio version, it's worth checking out the video on this one. Because I think just to kind of get what he's talking about, I think it's worth it. So check that out. Thank you so much for joining us. And check out my EP, Quiet Life, Loud Friends, with my man Pillsy Beats, and featuring guest appearances by Copyright, Jay Sinatra, Wordplay the Flyest MC. What up, Wordplay? Hope you're feeling better. And Honest to Grease God. We're getting a really great response from it. The bonus track, I Don't Know You But I Hate You, is now available everywhere on Spotify and Apple Music and iTunes, and I guess that's the same thing, but maybe it's not. But you can also download the EP for free on my website, soma79.com/quietlifeloudfriends, all one word. You can download it there. And while I'm pitching stuff, I did a MF Doom Mega Mix this year, and that is also available for free download at soma79.com/doom. It's called Oxidation Doomsday. Really dig that one, and I hope you do too. So happy holidays. I hope you're having a great Christmas holiday, everything season, Hanukkah season, all that stuff. And season's greetings and happy holidays and Merry Christmas and happy Hanukkah. All right, have a good one. Peace.
And with wings clipped, quick to flip manuscripts, cause her man went from damaged kid to damn he's rich, but she still can't stand the way he manages to never put nickels in the can for the cancer kids. Plus he cheats at cornhole and brags that he won, so she lost interest like porno after she comes. My DM started jingling, baby, as it was done. 2 seconds later I can hear the snapping of her gums. She calls me half Dodge Challenger, half Lip Gallagher.
Hey, welcome to the newest episode of the Articulate Ox podcast. I'm your host, Soma79. Thank you so much for joining me. My guest is artist Brian Life. What is going on today, man?
What up? What up? Yo, thank you for having me. I appreciate
no problem,
it.
Man. Your name has come up in this podcast before. I think one of the early episodes I did with rapper 3SK. Back then, I was asking people to pick a topic they wanted to talk about, and it was oddly how difficult some people had getting their mind around that concept. So I dropped it. But back then, he picked this EP.
Oh, shit.
You did the cover of. This EP is amazing.
Acrobatic EP, right. The EP.
Acrobatic EP. Yeah.
Yep.
Um,
Wow, that's cool. You got it in your hand. I haven't seen that in a
you know,
minute.
I had
It's
the
rare to see a CD,
yeah, I had the Kabir one around here too, because like I was trying to get him on, but I think
Oh,
I
that's
left it in my
cool. I
car. I was
didn't do
looking for
his
it. I wasn't
artwork, but
there.
I think he's me and him are cool, man.
Oh, I
Like
thought
he's a
that
good
was you.
dude.
Oh,
No, I
okay.
never did his artwork.
Okay. I
Maybe
wonder
it
who
looks
the
similar to my style,
yeah, yeah. Well,
but
because
he's
I
mad
was trying to
cool.
find it the other day. I would have figured that out if I actually found the CD. So sorry about
Right. You
that.
probably would have, there's other covers like old 90s covers that there's a guy from New York. I actually used to work with him at like a game licensing company. We had like Hanna-Barbera and Spider-Man
Oh
and like
wow.
Marvel and his style was similar because he used Photoshop and he would draw and color in Photoshop and like coloring books now. He would do the digital art, which was rare back then, before iPads, before all that. Cortez, he goes by Cortez. Shout out, what up,
Dope.
Cortez? So people used to always be like, "Yo, is that your CD?" Like it was a lot of hustling, like New
Yeah.
York style, like DJs, mixed DJs. DJ Clue, I think he would do stuff
Yep.
for, but yeah, it was funny. So I'd be like, nah, that wasn't mine, or because some of it would be like money stacks and women and all that kind of like
Yeah, yeah,
90s
yeah.
shit. And I'm like, no, I didn't do that,
Yeah, yeah.
but
That wasn't me. Don't spread that rumor.
right.
Yeah. I
But
just did a
his
cover for copyright and
oh, cool,
he
cool.
had me do it's not out it might be released by then, but there's a pig in it in a cop outfit. And I'm like, I'm not
That's
really pro
funny.
police, but like now I'm making a political statement, I think.
Right. Yeah,
So
man, that's some old 90s thought back then.
yeah, it's very body count stuff.
Yeah.
You like I said, I told you before, you've been on my radar for a while. I remember so I first saw your art years and years ago when I was hanging out with like Judge the Disciple and like Pillsy Beats and
What
Brandalism and
up? What
stuff.
up?
And I
Yep.
think I was at their place in a place in Quincy, at least called the Project Mayhem House. I forget where it is. It was like right behind
Yeah,
downtown. And I
I know
believe
that.
yeah, you had done a piece there that was sitting there, and I came over the next day, and that's the first time I'd heard of you before. And
Oh,
like
cool.
at that point, like I don't think I even knew what you looked like or anything for a long time. So I think back then I was just starting to hang out with people like that. I wasn't gonna go asking a lot of questions about graffiti people who I only knew like their tag name.
Sometimes you don't see them. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think
Right.
I knew you just through like, Brand One. I think it had mentioned you and talked about you. And I started following your art and I felt like I was seeing your name everywhere. So like
Dope, man.
so
That's
funny,
cool.
funny enough, I got a message on IG a few weeks ago from somebody from like I think Evolution Now podcast, and they're like, "Hey, I really dig your." They
Oh,
sent me a really
yeah.
nice message, and I was like, "Cool, how did you find out about me?" And they're like, "Brian Life," and I'm like, "How does he know who the fuck I
Uh-huh.
am?"
Yeah, man. Because they do their podcast and they just hosted me for an interview, and then maybe that, I don't know, maybe they saw that you do podcasts maybe through likes that I've had of
Oh,
yours, or I
maybe.
liked your page. But I forget, I think it was Maroney, no, not Maroney,
Oh, Mooney.
Mooney, my bad, Mooney, shouts to Mooney.
Yeah.
And I saw him on your podcast.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe he
He's the
shared
best.
that or something. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, that's dope. And then
That dude's so
because I did
talented.
his logo for him a long time ago. He's
Oh,
mad
cool.
cool,
You know the
super
Trespassing
talented.
logo?
Yeah, the Trust Passion.
Wow,
Yeah, I
that's
did
cool.
that.
That
So
dude is so talented. I remember when he started, I was like, can you? I didn't really know that there was that you could really. I was like, this he's gonna run out of stuff fast. Like, how many like abandoned places are there? And I realized how freaking wrong I was. Like, he's flying at
yeah,
Chernobyl. It's like the stuff he finds is amazing. I gave my dad a
awesome.
print he did of a Volkswagen graveyard because my dad has been working
Oh,
on
nice.
Volkswagens his whole life, and it's like weird. It's just so funny to see that hanging in my parents' house.
Oh, so he took that picture and you gave it to him, or
Yeah,
you gave it to your
he
father?
he was selling it, and I bought it from him for my
Dope,
dad.
dope.
So
Oh, that's
yeah.
super cool, man. Yeah,
I,
it's amazing. Like his adventures, like it's kind of like a graffiti artist, going and finding the spots, taking the risk, the adrenaline, and then taking that rare photo, and it's just dope, man.
Yeah,
His
his
whole
book's
like way
beautiful.
about it, I love that. When photographers don't just kind of take, like they actually carve their own path. That's a pretty dope thing, especially the risk but the
I
very
know.
unique spaces that no one else could get or no one would find the beauty in it. It's super dope.
I'm a rather risk adverse person. So it's like for me, that's especially exciting because it's like I've never been arrested somehow, which like it's like you're not supposed to get arrested, but it's like I feel
Older,
like
yeah.
everybody else I know has like, and it's not like I
Yeah,
couldn't
yeah.
have been,
You
but like
skip
I it's
that
like I
part.
it's
Hey,
for me it's like
whatever.
I would never do stuff like that because I think
Yeah, so
I'm
you can
nervous
live
about it.
vicariously through them
Yeah,
and be like, yo, like I've been into graffiti since 1992, and I back in the 90s, like I definitely took those adventures and took some risk, but I wasn't like super crazy, like, oh, I'm gonna climb in the top of the freeway and cross this bridge and on one leg. Like, I'm not gonna do that.
it's
Some
wild.
stuff I did that was risky, definitely gotten chased, gotten almost arrested, cut up by barbed wire, things like that. I have gotten arrested, but it's not like to be an outlaw and to super prove myself like the highest daredevil shit. I wasn't really into that. I always had like this, I call it smarts, maybe it's some pussiness, but I was just like, I'm not gonna do
You
that
gotta know
like
where the
risk
line
my
is.
life just to write a tag. Like, sorry,
Right.
like
Yeah,
there's another
it's
way I could do it.
there was that dude who was tagging like I forget the name, but he was tagging like the backs of like signs and like I remember one said like pure terror or something. It was like stuff that I can't imagine anybody could possibly hit. It began with an S, and I can't think of his name now, but I see the tags. They
Like
were
from
they're very simple.
California or over
No, it was
here.
out here. It was around. It
Okay.
was this was like maybe 1050 Sims, maybe. I don't know. I can't
Probably
remember.
Sims, yeah, because he
Yeah,
would get up real big and real risky, like in the
yeah.
on the highways. Yeah, yeah,
That shit. I would
yeah.
just once
So, but
blew
that's
my
the
mind.
thing, is that's his mission, was to be fame, all city type, fame for his name, and it's really like I there's that element of
Yeah.
graffiti, and I
And
respect
15, 20
that.
years later, I'm still talking about him. So,
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's what I mean. You could have a horrible script, like your tag could be really bad, but if you get up enough, people will just respect you for that. Even if it looks like chicken scratch, it's still the fact that you'll go down in history. Like there was these cats, Prone and Astro, and they used to get up in the 90s, and they weren't like the best hand styles. They were good, but they weren't like amazing because they were kind of new guys, but when they did it, they went hard and they got up everywhere. And forever, you'll remember Prone and Astro.
yeah.
They developed, but as far as their tags, they weren't like the best developed tags. They weren't terrible, but they weren't, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. I'm a
kind
firm
of like,
believer in
yeah,
like judging art by what it is and not what it's not. It's like the art is the final presentation. So it can if it is, it's like you have to all the account of like it's in a hard to hit spot. It's like the jaggedness kind of adds
yeah,
something
yeah,
to it.
yeah.
Like I try to build up and not tear down when I look at stuff like that.
Yeah, and like even say lyrics, like say if you recorded in a garage with a little, I don't know, like a microphone,
Yeah, like
or
a
no,
four
headphones.
track.
Like you took the
Yeah.
headphones and you wrapped into the headphones. Back in the day, they could do that, like
Yeah.
reverse and use the headphones as a mic. And like, say if you just
That
got
shit
that
was wild.
recording and whatever it was, like, say if somebody was like, oh, old dirty bastard was visiting you and like he happened to kick it after a late night after party and you got that recording, it doesn't matter if it's junky and noisy. The fact that
It
the
beats.
essence
Yeah.
that is there, there's quality inside there. So I do agree with like even
Yeah.
putting out some of, you might hate your old music or your voice, the way you deliver it or execute it, but it's like the fact that you did it and you put out tracks is important. It
Yeah.
speaks for itself. And you got to start somewhere. You got to not be afraid to fail and just kind of do it, even if it try your best
Exactly.
to make it polished and as nice as whatever. But some overworked stuff is not as good as the sketch. Like some of my real rendered, colored, really technically sound art, sometimes I look back at the sketch and I'm like, I like that way better. It's like freer and it's looser, and it's just there was something way too self-conscious about the newer work. Even when I said self-conscious about it, it's like too analyzed, too scrutinized by all thoughts of eyes judging it. Whereas the first time you could have just been watching TV, scribbling some shit,
Right.
and
I've definitely had that thing where it's like the drawing that I've done in a half hour is the one that sells instantly, and the painting that I put 60 hours in is still sitting in my basement. And it's
For
like,
real.
in
I
like, the
know.
song you write in your head in the shower is the hit, and the one you spent the whole weekend on or whole month on is just, it's weird. It's like, and that's the
Yeah.
thing we mentioned about not being scared to fail, is that it's so important. Like, I think especially in this country, failure is something that is mocked instead of in some ways celebrated as like a part of the process. And I think if you're scared to fail, you're never gonna get anywhere. Like,
No, you have to literally fail to get better, to do anything. Yeah, you got to make the choice. Like at the road, you got to make one choice and then you'll find out if it was the wrong or the right one. But if you're
right.
stuck in the middle, you're just going to be idle and you just got to fuck up. Like I'm an old school writer now. I'm considered like a king, a Boston king. You know, you go from like being a toy, a rookie, a
Yeah.
newbie to becoming like a senior, you know, or a junior, senior, and then you're like a king in the graffiti terminology would be like a vet. Like I made it like an OG, and then like, but I had to be whack at first. I had to be a toy. I had to kind of have these terrible scribble shitty tags to go look at it and to even be called out on it or to step it up and learn on the spot and actually execute it right and be like, oh, I like how that L looked. I like that F. I don't like the E, but the F,
Right.
something there was good. But that on and on and on practice is better. Like I even think when people write lyrics, I freestyle and it's hard for me to write because I think quick and my flows are just I can't like keep up with the pen. I should probably just record it and piece it all together. But like the fact that when I did write back in the 90s, I used to have a hip hop group and like I would write a little bit and I would also read my buddy's lyrics and memorize them. Sometimes he would write ghostwrite but I would memorize. That's what my point is. Like I think when people deliver their rap in the booth, it's better to memorize it than reading it off
Yeah.
the phone or paper. I feel like when you really go over and over, it's the same with doing that tag over and over, messing up, finding, erasing, deleting over and over. It's kind of like this meditative like
Exactly. Yeah.
state you get into, you know, like a chanting and shit. You know what I
What I
mean?
do
So
is I usually record a rough one with me reading it, then I listen to that a bunch of times and iron it out and then go in from memory is like how I've
so
over I just released it. I think you must know Pillsy Beats, or
I do,
yeah,
yeah.
we just dropped
Still.
an album together a few weeks ago.
Oh,
He's gotten
nice. I
really
gotta
good at
go check
beats and
that.
mixing. Yeah, Quiet Life, Loud Friends. It's out. We had another one, You're Scaring the Ducks, coming out soon. As soon as these people
Nice.
who are supposed to be on it get their verses back to me. But
Oh yeah.
um it's
Right.
always
Get on
fun.
that. No,
Yeah.
I know how I mean, I can only imagine. I'm sometimes late with work and I have friends or clients and it's like, you know, they see me out there doing other stuff and then I'm not delivering. So
You know,
just a little
one of
reminder.
the people, I'm not going to name him, but he's a fairly well known rapper, and he owes me a verse, and
Is he
he was on.
notorious for that?
He might, I don't know, he hops on IG Live the other day, and I jump on. The second he sees me, he's like, "It's coming, it's coming." This was 2 months
Oh,
ago, so
yeah, yeah.
so I'm like, "All
Like
right,
even
man."
tonight, I had to ask you, is this live? Because I have something due. Well, I'm not, I mean, I'll tell it, but for Miles Grimes, he's like a Massachusetts rapper, and
Yep,
so I'm doing a record cover for him and another dude. I won't tell their name yet, but it's like a little collabo. Yeah, and I was like, oh
awesome.
shit, if this is the
Yeah,
IG live, then that means I have to be like, yo, I
I
got
know.
that coming.
It is weird. It's just like
Because
humans are not built for this experiment that we're in now. Like, I mean, we've been around for billions of years, and all of a sudden, the past 100 years, everything's sped up a zillion degrees. Like, we're all lucky that we haven't flown off into space because the planet's spinning so hard. Like, it's
right,
just,
just float.
I know, every
Right?
day is
Like
another day, an
this.
experiment. You
Yeah,
know,
deadlines and like the system, this beast of this whole like pipeline where this has to go and then I have to book that. And then there's this whole assembly line of order that sort of sometimes is tough for an artist to get in line with. But
right?
it's also good, you know, I'm not gonna say like because sometimes artists can be spacey and they could be like, oh, I'm waiting for that moment, that inspiration, the flow. But I do believe like as I got older and learned, sometimes you just gotta shut up and do
Right.
it, sit
My
down
attitude
and
is meet
make
it
it.
halfway. It's
Yeah,
like
that's a
if
good
I
way
take
to
a
look at
step
it.
towards it, it'll take a step towards me.
That's definitely a good way. Because you know, if not, of course, there's a million other things we could be doing. Sometimes you just gotta kind of like pull it out, like stir it up, and then, like you said, halfway, and then it will. you'll get in the zone and then you'll start to lock in. And finally, I think carrying the concept in your head, the weight of research, the weight of whatever has to be done is heavier and more like sucky than actually doing the labor of literally just like when it comes to art and drawing and like painting, it's finger movements and muscle movements and it's silence. And you're just kinetically by like your physics, your body is doing it. You're not just conceptualizing thoughts, like you're literally just making it out, come
Right.
out, filter out through your hand and channeling it out. But I think that also that concrete, like physical reality of it starting to develop in front of you is the reward and the motivating carrot, like the carrot in front of the stick that just kind of makes you do it.
Yeah.
Because like carrying shit in your head for too long is just crazy, or researching or gathering, prepping over.
It's like when you look at like all the research Kubrick did for the Napoleon movie that he never made, I sort of just it makes me shiver in my seat. Like I'm like, good fucking lord, like spend that much time on something that you never actually do. Like
damn, I didn't know that, but like
I'm a big Kubrick fan. I've gone down his wormhole a bunch of times.
Yeah, definitely.
I got excited because Eyes Wide Shut, my favorite movie of all time, and it's also my favorite Christmas movie, if you want to call it that. But it's playing out here at I live out by UMass. It's playing in the Amherst Theater the day after Christmas, so I'm very excited to go see that in the theater.
Super amped, right? Have you ever seen it like large in the
theater? I did. When it came out, I remember this is how I was so.
I know I've seen it. It's been a long time.
It's one thing. It's not for everybody, but it came out. I was in film school. I went to film school at BU years ago, and like it came out while I was there, and I saw it twice the opening weekend. I loved it. And I went to class on Monday and teacher was like, who here saw Eyes Wide Shut? And like half people raised their hand, like, who saw it twice? I'm like, I did. And he's like, Tim's the only real film student. And I'm like,
you're like,
thank you for making me feel like an asshole. But
yeah, man, like geeking out on it. Like I did that with the Spider-Verse and Enters the Spider-Verse or whatever. I saw that twice because it was just I was also doing an animation. Like I've been getting into 3D animation.
I saw that.
I've always been into 3D sculpture and like making things in 3D, but to actually make things move and animate and put bones inside of a character and then like on a timeline make them bones move. And you could do like a lot of motion capture and you could kind of like get pre-captured movements like dance moves and jumping or whatever, and you can apply that to your character. So it's like you don't even have to do it hand by hand, like step by step. You could just apply the motion capture. So I kind of learned all that while right when that movie was dropping, that Spideyverse or whatever you call it.
Yeah. I've been playing with that Adobe Animate program where you can do the similar stuff with like a puppet. It's probably like the most basic type of thing, but like
but it's 2D, remarkable. But it's similar how you could do that puppetry and put the bones and move the bones and
I can't believe that they ever in the days of like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and that stuff. Don't you feel like I would have quit after like day 2? I remember watching like Tron's one of my favorite movies, and I watched the commentary track, and all they kept talking about was like, if we knew how hard it was going to be to paint every cell, we never would have done this.
Right. Yeah, you can get in there. Oh, speaking of which, like, you know how I told you could take like a pre-videotaped motion capture where they and then you can just apply it to your character. Well, most of them are like real humans, right? So they have on the suit and every like hinge or elbow, every joint is recorded by the computer with like a little white ball or something.
Yeah.
But that doesn't always apply to your 3D character. So my 3D character had like larger arms, larger feet. It was kind of an exaggerated cartoonish character. So the breakdancing, his feet were like going through the floor. When he'd move his hands, they'd slice through each other because they were so long. Whereas the human's hands, maybe they would stop here, but mine were like that. So I had to like go in there frame by frame and like move his arm down. So it was like that instead of like, you know, it was like a B-boy doing stuff. And then his shoes, his sneakers kept going through the floor. I'm like, oh my God, why did I do this? It would have been easier to just do the whole dance move by hand, like frame by frame. But anyway, so sometimes you cut a corner and then you're already in there. Like I do that with the record covers back in the day when I would do the 90s like hip hop record covers that I released a lot of different ones. I would zoom in so close in Photoshop and I would texturize and detail something over here. And then when I zoom out, I'm like, oh, fuck, now I got to go throughout everything or else it's going to sort of stand out. like I got lazy in all those other areas. If I don't kind of treat it or speckle it around, you can kind of put yourself in a hole, you know. But
Yeah. And I always say that you can't judge a book by its cover, but you can judge an album by its cover. Like I've bought so many
yeah,
albums based entirely on the cover, and it almost always works out. It's
that's cool.
a huge thing.
That's cool, man. Because a lot of people do actually buy. I've gotten a lot of comments where somebody's like, "Yo, I just bought that cover. I didn't even know who it was, but the cover made me know that was got to be legit if they paid for that,
Right.
or if if they hired a real artist to do this and did not just take a photo, or if the definitely like I did a b-boy the game for PlayStation. It was
Oh
a game,
yes.
yeah. So I got hired to do that, and but they had released it in Europe prior to hiring me. In a small run, they released it, and it was really bad. Like the artwork was like real bad clip art. It was like a break dancer, but it was like this
Hmm.
stick figure, like terrible clothing, nothing hip
Yeah.
hop at all, and it was like clip art. And they hired me for the fact that I knew the culture and I knew hip hop, I knew clothing, the right type of look and attitude, and just to write the correct aesthetic to represent hip hop as a b-boy game is really important. And you can't really buy that. Like that has to be kind of like a
Exactly.
culturally like known thing, you know?
Hip hop is something you really can't fake. It's like when you see it and it's done and like, oh, this is going to be the hip hop episode of like Blossom. It's like it's like
Wait,
yeah,
what's Blossom? I
yeah,
don't
it's
even
gonna be
know
like
what that.
corny as shit. But
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like it's either real or it's not. You know, it's and especially with stuff like a video game, especially because of all the negative connotation that comes with hip hop. If you're gonna throw those words out there, you might as well deliver on them. If you do like this like
Yeah.
shitty version, you're serving nobody. It's like
Right. It's like
whatever.
something done by Macklemore. No,
Yeah.
I don't want to diss him, but like some people like him. But
Yeah.
no, like the whole Freddie. You remember Fred Flintstone rapping on the commercial? It was like
Oh yeah,
fruity,
on the Cocoa Pebbles
yeah,
commercial. Yeah.
Fruity Pebbles and like Cocoa Pebbles, and it's just corny, so it almost makes it look bad, and you're like, oh man. So if you do know somebody's name that's well respected in hip hop, if they're attached to the score of a movie or something, I think, when you think of things like the RZA,
Yeah.
maybe he's on like was it Kill Bill or something,
Hmm.
you're like, all right, this is gonna be kind of dope. Like, oh, I can't
Right.
wait to hear what they do because you just know that they have a good rapport
Well,
and
especially as
stuff.
an artist
Or
yourself, you know how long it
right,
takes to do something. And you go, well, it's not like RZA's gonna shit out the score in like 2 hours. He's
yeah,
set some time aside and he really
definitely,
wants to do it. It's
yeah, he's gonna take pride in that.
it's the reason we're still talking about Ghost Dog all these days. I mean, that was it's like every once in a while
Yo,
there are these
that was
movies where
dope.
like the soundtrack like sort of outlives the actual movie, and I think that's sort of
Yeah, and
normal.
what's that other one? The Space Odyssey or something?
Oh,
Uh, it's like 2001
2000,
Space Odyssey.
Kubrick, yeah, 2001 Space
Yeah,
Odyssey. Yep.
Cooper, and the music supposedly is like amazing, and that's kind of what is it, Hans something, and he did the score, I think. I should know this guy.
I
He's like,
should too, because I'm a big. I literally have a
but it's
poster from
mostly
2000.
all
I
sound,
actually
right,
I
and
have the
visual.
framed in my room over there. I have the framed album soundtrack of 2001, so
No
I can walk
shit.
in there and
So
tell you. I have like a room
yeah.
in my house dedicated to Kubrick. It's like all like Kubrick
Oh
stuff, and
wow.
I framed the thing in there.
Yeah, man. So I apparently that's all music and sound and maybe a few
Clockwork Orange
words.
too. It was all. I think Clockwork
Yeah,
Orange
that
was all like
that
was
was
it
so
like all
dope.
Beethoven, but like synth or so. I haven't watched it in
It
so
was
long,
so
but
weird, but I told that was like one of my Kubrick movies that I would know and associate and be like, okay. Didn't he also do like Full Metal Jacket
yep,
or
Full Metal
no?
Jacket was one
Okay.
for me. It came out. That
I
was
was
his.
surprised. I was like, whoa, really?
Yeah.
This is crazy because it was like more of a real world instead of some like Clockwork Orange just
Yeah.
kind of made up and twisted,
He
but
kind of never did the same movie twice. Like every movie was like,
that's
it was
amazing.
Doctor Strangelove, Lolita, like all that,
Yeah.
so
Like unexpected, like so that
very
must be
loud.
exciting because you don't know where he's gonna come from next. And
Yeah.
is he still alive?
No, he actually died. It was funny.
Oh
He
my
died
bad.
right after Eyes Wide Shut was finished, and there was actually a controversy
R.I.P.
over it because so he had the right to final cut on that film, and there's a scene in that film where essentially there's an orgy going on, and it wouldn't have got rated R, but the film had to come in rated R, so they were stuck on what to do, and they weren't allowed to cut anything, so they digitally put characters over it in order to
Wow.
contractually meet it. And then now you can get the original cut like available now with it
Oh, that's
taken out.
crazy.
But
That
yeah,
sounds so well.
yeah, it was. That was the longest film shoot in history, continuous film shoot in the history of movies. It just kept, it went
Wasn't it
on.
Ghost Dog that did that?
No, that was
Where
Eyes
there
Wide
was
Shut.
one shoot.
Oh,
Is
maybe, but this
did
film
Ghost
shoot went
Dog
on
do
for like
that?
went on for a year. I mean, like longest number of days.
Oh, you're just
Like,
saying just like
oh yeah, yeah,
film being. But
yeah.
what's that movie where it's all one camera shot? Is it
I
Ghost
know
Dog where it's like that big fight scene in the beginning and
maybe there
it's
was a
just
Hitchcock
constant?
movie called Rope that was all one, or it was supposed to maybe look like all one shot. But I haven't seen
But
Ghost
there
Dog
is
myself.
one that's kind of a newer in the past few years
Yeah,
where it's like you see that video, oh, that was all one take, like where all the actors, everyone has to do it right
yeah.
because there's no cutting, it's just one way. But I thought Ghost Dog was the first sort of movie that was
I had to go
that
back and
opening
watch that.
scene was supposed to be like a very long one shot. Yeah, I don't know too much about movies, but that
Yeah.
sounds
So like I you do digital art now. I mean, I knew you back in the day mostly from graffiti and stuff like that. What was that translation? What that transition like? I've moved into the digital
yeah,
space the past few years. I got one of the tablets you draw on that like
nice.
shit, and it's like it's your hand feels different and stuff. It's some getting used
Yeah.
to. Like, how did you? What was your journey from physical to digital?
All right. So basically, yeah, throughout my college years, I was always doing all these traditional mediums like paint, oil paint, acrylic, watercolor, pen and ink, anything, all traditional stuff. I chose while I was doing graffiti before college, right? Because I started in 1992 doing graffiti, went to college in like 95 to 2000. So I was always doing spray paint, and then I picked up airbrush on my own. And I do still, I've been at airbrush for like 2 decades. So I do a lot of
Uh-huh.
fine art. Like, say, if I was to do a portrait of somebody very highly realistic or some sort of canvas painting, a lot of times that'll be my fine art would be like airbrush, where spray paint will be a little more raw and gritty and
Mhm.
larger and bigger. uh so, and I used a little bit of brush too, but I love airbrush. So then those were kind of tools under my belt, and I always would look at the computer room and be like, oh, I hear about that Photoshop stuff. This is before iPads, before cell phone, like touch screen.
Yeah.
And because I graduated in 2000. So I knew that there was something going on with the comic books that I was starting to see coming out, Image
Yes.
Comics.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
You could
was
tell. You
noticing
could
that,
tell the shift.
yeah,
There was
they're
a
being
weird time in
colored.
comics where like everything looked a little wonky. Like, you
Yeah, it
know.
was like gradients, like beautiful, like,
Oh,
real gradients.
yeah,
That's what I
yeah.
mean. Like, so Image Comics were the ones who their coloring was definitely painted in the computer. And I was like, but it looks like real brush strokes, but like some of the gradients were just everything was like saturated, like everything was just nice, it wasn't like watercolory or regular textures from traditional mediums. So I respected it, and I was like, okay, I see that a hand is moving that color, I just don't know how it's getting done. And then I started to see the tablets that they didn't really have the tablets that you draw on the monitor,
Right.
but they
The
had them
little,
on the
yeah.
desk,
I
the
had one of those.
Wacom.
It was, I never could get
Yeah,
used to it.
so I finally, long story short, got in, took a Photoshop class, but I used to walk by the class and be like, oh, that's not real art. That's fucking computer shit. But like I said, when I saw the coloring in the comics done, they had traditional pen and ink on top of, but the coloring was still an artist painting. And I go, that still looks like natural to me. I like that. So let me find out what this pen is all about and let me try that class. And yeah, it sucked. Like you'd have to have it down and then you just look and you just follow your mouse move around, but
Yeah.
you hand-eye coordination, you just be drawing in front of you. Some people would hold it off to the side and they'd be like drawing to, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
But
I've seen
yeah,
people do
so
that too. It's weird. It's
yeah, so I just started there. My first two pieces in Photoshop, like one was like a girl playing the piano, like kind of a cool, like characterized, semi-realistic. When I started, I made this piano, but you could see the plugs and all the chords in the front of the. And I got into making all these little circles and plugs and buttons and LED lights, and I was all in like with the glow and like to simulate that kind of fade and that glow of like a really bright center with a nice colorful green or something. That was hard to do, and you can only do that with airbrush, that nice fade.
Mhm.
But with the computer you could do these beautiful little like effects and cool things that I was like, that's what's up. Like the
Yeah.
quality, I love it. So I started to get into that my last year, so that's what kind of entered me into digital art. And then I graduated and I was like, all right, well, and then I basically learned on my own. Like everything after that was just lots of tutorials through books because back then YouTube wasn't super big and it was kind of hard to get like you couldn't stream
Right.
videos and just watch stuff on the drop of a
YouTube was
dime.
basically books for dummies. That's what we
Yeah,
had.
yeah, yeah. And you would it was a lot of clips and low quality. Nothing was
Right.
like 10K or 2K. Like nothing was high quality. And so, but you would just order a book and read tutorials on the software. And then it would be outdated by the time the book came to
Yeah.
you, you know, and all that. And by the time you finished reading it, the software would update. But
I
not to be
forgot
all
how
like,
frustrating that shit
yeah, it was
was.
annoying as fuck. You'd be on the train, like reading a fucking book while it's shaking around. Then you
Yeah.
go home and forget what the hell you read because
Yeah.
now you have to sit down and actually do it on the computer. So so anyway, that kind of got me into digital record covers and rave flyers. I used to do rave flyers a lot
Oh shit. I
because
was
a
a
lot
big
of
raver. That's
yeah, I used to be a big like raver too since the 92. I went to like so many. I went to like all the like primary raves like blue and green and red and all those and so I kind of would get hired to do the rave flyers because printing was still big. People still
yeah.
passed out physical flyers. So I would
Ah,
get hired to like design a rave flyer, get them printed in the thousands and see them all over the floor in the party and rolled up in people's, you know, it would just be
yeah.
on people's walls and it
I
was
still
dope
have
to
some. I actually found some rave flyers a few days ago that I was like, I gotta frame
nice.
these. Like they're so
Yes.
cool looking, you know?
Yeah, it's such a memorabilia. So it was a different time back then. Everything was about printing, even record covers. So I started to slowly get hired. Like I dropped something out of Boston for Biscuit Head Records, which is a record store in Boston.
That sounds so familiar. God, I haven't heard that
The
in a long time.
so they sold a lot of hip hop and
Yeah.
DJ Bruno, he's a major house DJ here,
Mhm.
kind of like Godfather of Boston's house scene. He just had a record store near Newbury Street and on Mass Ave, and he also sold a lot of hip hop. So a lot of people would go there and they'd have in stores and signings and different things. So it's kind of like house and hip hop coming out of there, but it
Yeah.
was actually a lot, mostly hip hop. Before that other one out of Boston, what was it called there?
There was one on Mass Ave that I remember going to buy tickets for raves there. I
It was
forget what
like hip hop something, or
yeah. Oh, there was underground hip hop that was right by Northeastern that
maybe
was
that's
run
what
by
I'm thinking of.
Quest.
Yeah, that's
Um
what I'm talking about.
remember Rise? You ever go to Rise, like the after hours
Yeah,
club in
yeah, yeah. I
Boston?
used to go to that.
That
It's
was
crazy.
yeah,
I'd be
that was
like,
yeah.
it was a little bit too wild for me, but you know, if you're on the first floor, you're like, whoa, real overwhelmed. But second floor was cool. But I'd go there a few times, you know, if we really want to keep going. But
Yeah, it's like Avalon's closing, and it's like
yeah,
even
it's
like
like,
back
where
in the
else can
days,
you
you could
go?
smoke in the clubs. I remember just coming home from the clubs with like reeking of cigarette smoke in my
Yeah,
hair and shit.
imagine that. That's amazing. Like all those times. Yeah,
Yeah,
you close like
and
you
then with
go to a
all there was so much
restaurant.
smoke in the room, all the lasers looked. You don't see that shit anymore. Where
Yeah, you
it's
don't
like,
see that
you know,
ambience and
I mean, I'm happy not to be breathing in the smoke, but don't
yeah,
get me
yeah. It was
wrong.
nasty, like your whole body. Even if you go out to a restaurant sometimes, remember people
Yeah.
would be smoking in the restaurant.
There was a
Uh
place called the Iron Lung Cafe, right by in BU, like right near where I lived there senior year, and it was right when the smoking ban came in. They were trying to fight it because like our entire point is that you can smoke here, and they're like,
yeah,
yeah, our point is that you can't, like,
right.
and they had to I think close, but
Right.
yeah,
And
man.
then did you know like the whole like vaping and like remember how they would have all those smoke shops at stores? Do they
Yeah,
still allow that?
I think
I know that
so.
was a tough problem because they already invested and then all of a sudden you couldn't do
There
it.
was
Or
that
maybe
time where you couldn't get it, but then I think I'm sure commerce beat out. Like I quit smoking and stuff like about 15 years ago, so the further I
yeah.
can stay away from that news, the
Yeah,
better.
I don't smoke neither. I stopped smoking like weed actually like 8 years ago. That was really hard to do.
Yeah.
Most of my whole life I was smoking blunts like all day and day, like 3 blunts to the head, 2 blunts a day, 3 blunts a day, and all my life, you know, I'm 47. So I had to stop like 8 years ago, just get my shit together.
I was like that for a long
Uh,
time too. Now I cut down and now I'll take like an edible or something at night. But
that's
it's like
cool.
even that, it's like because the smoking. I saw the news came out today that Snoop Dogg is quitting smoking weed, or at least he posted
Yeah, there's a
something on
lot of
Instagram saying that.
it's everywhere that a lot of people are sharing that, and I thought it was his official page. I actually sent it to my buddy who was having trouble stopping, and he's always kind of talking about like celebrities that still function, and they're like, well, Snoop Dogg smokes and he's a millionaire, or Joe Rogan, and I'm like, I know, but like there's
Yeah.
probably been mad times where things have gotten fucked up, or because I'm being honest, like I know like if you smoke all day and day, there's times where you'd be like so groggy, so tired, got to
Yeah.
take naps, or you're just fucking
Or
twisted and
you're never
distorted.
getting a good night's sleep, and it would snowball. So it's like one bad night's
Yeah,
sleep turns into a slightly worse night's sleep. MC Serge
imagine
talked about
holding.
that a lot. He had a really bad problem with weed, and he
Yeah.
yeah.
And now to each his own. Like I'm not gonna sit here and be like, wow, wow, like because I
No.
loved it most of my whole life. And not everyone's like an addictive personality like myself. Like I like go hard on anything when it comes to like liquor. That's what I'd be like,
Yeah.
where's the after party? Where's this not?
Me
My
too. That's why I don't
family,
drink.
yeah, and I used to pound that. And then when I stopped drinking like 15 years ago, I picked up the weed even more heavy. So it was like I couldn't get enough. It's like I'd just be like, so lucky I kind of stopped right around when the dab started to come out. And because it just comes in all different forms, but I'm like a very like push something all the way till it actually hurts me, and
Yeah.
then I kind of push it away until I'm free again, and then I'm sort of back to ground zero of like just my natural ability. And I'm not better or worse than anyone else. I still got problems. I still got other types of addictions or fixations and
Yeah.
fucked up shit about me. And we all kind of escape in our own ways. Life is tough. So yeah, but like I'm not saying nothing like that. But I wonder, you know what I'm saying? Because I also read a lot of comments with the Snoop thing. It's like, yeah, he's did that like 7 times. He's trying to promote a new vaping product. It says I stopped smoking, but it doesn't say what. So what
Yeah.
if it's a vape? Anyway,
It's you know what,
it's all
like
good to each
if
his
you're
own.
Snoop, you can afford to blow up your life and image now and do whatever the fuck you want. It's like
What up,
just
cat?
yeah, it's
You
Chloe.
cat.
She's meowing.
What's up, Chloe?
Um
Yeah, like that's what I mean though. But like, imagine being somebody with so many businesses, so many millions of dollars, and so many responsibilities and people, employees, all that. Like, I don't know
yeah,
how.
that
Like to
is
be
something that's
blazed all
tough
the
too.
time. I don't know. They must have a lot of L's that they take, and they
Yeah,
just
I
kind of
know.
keep rolling with it because they're just like, whatever, yo.
Yeah. I saw,
Like,
you must know Hush, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
He just
I
quit
know Hush.
smoking weed in August. He had posted that recently, and that dude is so
I just commented today on what he wrote. Yeah.
he's so
I
like
was so
balls to the
surprised,
wall,
yeah,
but
because he used to
yeah,
smoke heavily. That
but
was his whole
he's always the
lifestyle.
hard worker. The kid has like taught himself so much stuff, and it's like
So
he figures shit out. So I'm really curious to see like him kick it to the next
if he'll
level.
up his game, yeah.
Yeah,
I
because he's
think he
always
will,
impressed
and I
me.
think it's a good age because like I kind of came to my realization 7, 8 years ago. I'm 47, so right around when I turned 40, I was like, I gotta stop this shit. Because I'd be like blaze a whole blunt to the head, and then I'd be
Yeah.
popping Adderalls to like wake me back up, and then
What I call the I had a name for that.
crack it out.
The hippie speedball is what I call it.
Yeah,
The Adderall and weed is
as
the hippie
crackhead.
speedball.
That's all. Well, yeah, no doubt. And I'd stay up 2 days in a row, and I'd just be because back when I stopped, it was before it was legalized here.
Yeah.
And so I lived in New York for 6 years, and you could just text somebody, and they come out on a bike, and they have a
Yeah.
little briefcase of all high grade, like 4 or 5 different versions of strains, and you could just choose. And it was just like you just text somebody. So it was
Like
basically
straight out of
felt
half baked.
it was exactly like that movie. It was so funny to actually live it and be like, this is what happened in that movie, and this is
Yeah.
really what it is. And I'm friends with all of them. That was their job. They just be out on their bikes. It was like a fleet, and it was reliable, and it felt like it was legal anyway to me because I was living that life for 6 years, just getting it delivered at, it'd take a little while, but it would come to me
Right.
or whatever. We all can get it, so it doesn't matter if it's legal or if it's not, and it doesn't matter how it's packaged or how you consume it. Like if either it's a dab or whatever the fuck it's sprinkled, fucking I don't know, put into a humidifier in
Yeah.
the air. Like once you're in there and you're high, once you get it, like I said, I don't want to ruin no one's high on this fucking
Yeah.
podcast and get
No,
too
go for it. I
serious.
mean, it's all true
But
stuff, man.
basically, now you're high, so it doesn't matter if it's legal or not. Now it's like, does it affect your life, or does it kind of like
Right.
so I do think I have more potential now, more like enthusiasm and energy, and less I used to call it weed math because you'd always be like figuring out like how much you got to get this.
I
Are they gonna have
yes,
some?
yeah.
And it's like mine, and I don't want to share because then and they
Right, because
didn't.
then it all adds
Or
up, and I'm already spending way too much, and
yeah, or sticks is like this is seeds and sticks, and oh, I just paid, and then you're like, well, I'll be back in an hour, and you go for 4 hours, and then it's like all this math.
yeah,
Fucking, it's like I don't have to deal with shit like that no more. Like I don't
yeah.
think of any of that all day long,
George
and
Carlin
it's
had a quote. He's like, "There's no better feeling than looking in the rearview mirror, seeing a cop, and knowing you don't have a trunk full of cocaine." Like,
yeah.
it's like considering how much people smoke in their cars, which
Imagine,
yeah, it's like
uh,
it's
yeah,
nuts.
it feels good to just not. It's not even like a comparison thing. It just doesn't enter my zone. Like I'm not. I think when you change gears in life or a track, and you just get a little bit further away from something,
Yeah,
it just becomes distant, and you
people are
just
more
kind of
malleable
keep
than
moving.
they give themselves credit for. It's
Yeah,
like even I find with my diet and stuff, I'll just make a decision, and it's like you get used
yeah,
to it in a very if people get used to things in a very short period of time if they dedicate themselves to it. And it's like
yeah.
with
You could
weed, it's usually like two
change.
weeks. It's like
It's
it's kind
usually
of
a little
miserable for
suffering. Yeah,
2 weeks.
like
Yeah,
you go
you
through.
have crazy dreams. Maybe you sweat a little bit.
Yeah,
You
it is
cranky,
two
and then
weeks of hell and lots of hard dreams, and then
yeah.
some
Boy,
dreams
those
you think you
dreams though, man.
smoked, some things you think you smoked, and you wake up, you're like, "Fuck, I just
Yo,
fucked
yeah,
up."
that
And
smoke. Yeah, Elton
yeah,
John
yeah,
said he still to this day has at least one dream a month about doing cocaine. And it's like
yeah.
the guy's been sober forever.
It's a hell of a drug, man.
Yeah, man. It
Yeah,
is those dreams are pretty wild though. The
they
weed
are very
dreams.
real, and you wake up guilty or you feel like
Yeah,
shamed, and you're like, no, and then you're like, wait, oh, that wasn't even real. So, uh, I
they stick with
remember
you.
college and everything, going back to a little bit of school and like, midterms, and then you have
Yeah.
like finals, and it's so stressful, and you're like trying to study and cram up. I remember I used to wake up thinking I had some sort of midterm or some sort of, but I already graduated, so it took me a while to get over
I had
school
so
and the
many of those dreams. I still
trauma.
have
I
those
was
dreams
like,
every once in a
fuck.
while.
Yeah, like you like, I gotta write this paper. Oh
Yeah.
no.
I
And then you're
have
like,
the I'm at school and it's the last
done,
day and I
dude.
don't know where my classes are and all that stuff. It's like I've had that dream a ton of times. It's
Yeah,
pretty
it's been
wild.
a too long for me now, but because I graduated in 2000, that's 23, four
Same with
years.
me.
Wow, you still have them?
Yeah, well, I
You
think
must have been
what
really
happens
late
with
with
me
that
is
homework.
I have those dreams when I'm going through a portion of my life where I'm not acting up to my maturity level, or for some reason I'm just, and that's when I start having those dreams and they start telling
It's like your
me,
subconscious is
yeah,
trying to be like, "Oh yeah, buddy, you're slacking," and then you stress about things that maybe aren't even happening. I think it is a good thing. Somehow it's like your coach, like your
yeah,
spirit saying like, "You could do better. You could do better." Yeah, so that's funny stuff. Now people just get Chat GPT to do their papers for them, and
I
imagine
know.
how easy it
But
is to
now
just
teachers are getting
turn
Chat
out shit.
GPT to determine if the students used it. Like, because where I work, we're
Probably.
getting into AI, and it's how do you feel about AI and art? Did I see something you posted the other day where you
Yeah,
were taking something and amplifying it a little bit? Like, what's
right. So I've been utilizing it, but this has been about a year, like what would you say, 4 to 6 months now. We've been kind of going through this whole
yeah,
AI movement. It's been going on for a while, but
but
I was
ramped up.
totally like, what the fuck is happening when it first came out? And I made a few videos on my YouTube about how I thought about it. What I always thought about everything, even with Photoshop and digital art, some people like, that's not real art. That's you doing, the computer's helping you. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm using the pen and I'm
Right.
actually drawing with this digital paint. No, but that's not. I mix my
Yeah.
paint. I go
People who
buy
know
it.
not oh well, real artists, yeah,
Yeah,
right.
but but it took a while for people to adjust, and they didn't really like it. And it same with like horse and carriage and a bike and a car and a motor
Right.
vehicle, and like there's good and bad in all of it. So it's like I could drive all the time and never go out and walk and get physical exercise. I could always really get heavier in my belly and get no body movement, no kind of right? Or you sit in front of play video games all day or watch. Remember sitting down watching Saturday morning cartoons or any cartoons, and you'd be on your couch and you'd just be hypnotized. But like after a
Yeah,
while, you'd feel this haunting feeling of like you'd
exactly.
hear something outside. You'd be like, I gotta go out. Like there's something not right. But
It's
you were
I feel a little bit
zoned.
of guilt, a little
Yeah,
bit,
you were
or
like guilty, and
guilt and
you knew
shame.
you could feel the tipping of like there's too much of this going on.
Yeah.
I gotta go out and go get in the dirt or do
It
something.
happens
Go,
like right in here. I almost feel like the pinching on
yeah.
both sides where you're just
Isn't
like,
that
get
weird?
up. Yep.
Yeah. So you can kind of sense. when you're overdoing something. So I think with digital art, it's the same way. When I am drawing on the computer for too long, I sometimes have to go out and do some graffiti or mix some paint and actually use a brush and stand up versus sitting down, all these kind of things. I think it's the same with anything. Eating too much, chill out on that sugar, or chill out on the fast food, maybe buy some veggies and cook from home for a little while. I've been eating out too much, maybe I should cook so I've been watching too many movies, maybe I should write that script, like
Right.
let it out, not take it in, right? So I think same with art. So with AI, so like this is how I thought of it. So I was really pissed on the fact that it was trained on everything like all other real artists,
Yeah.
all other
That's the
photographers.
sticking point that a lot of people
That's
have a
the
hard
hardest
time
part
getting
to get
through.
over. And I definitely, there's no turning back though.
Right.
This is the fact. They did scour and they did train and model off of however they call it, right? They
Right.
train off of.
Just like my brain has done with every piece of art I've ever
And
seen.
that's another way to look at it. So I'm an artist, right? So I can look at, I'm a physical human being, but I can analyze artists that I look up to, idols that I have. I can steal their style or emulate their style. To be honest, that's what I do. I emulate their
Right.
styles and I
As
fuse
artists,
them
we're
and
illusionists. We're
real
creating.
artists, we
Yeah.
filter dope shit that we love and we're attracted to, that we relate to, and we filter it through and we try our best to make something like it or better than, or come up with a new version of that. And that's how
Right.
MCs do it. If you listen to hieroglyphics, like they sound similar the way they rap because they hang around each other, or maybe Wu-Tang, there's certain East Coast styles, but they have their own flavor on it, swing on it, and their
Yeah.
own tinge of recipes. So I kind of look at it like, okay, I can't stop this AI beast thing, and I understand, but I don't think a cop, like, just if you could bear with me, also people out there, because there's something that I didn't like about just typing in prompts and then it starting to Frankenstein and put together some art, and then you being
Right.
like, yeah, that's my art. I didn't like that. I'm like, that's not really true. It's not really art. It's sort of, it's orchestrated, but it's kind of like a director telling a bunch of people to
I
do
think of it
stuff.
like Iron Man with Jarvis, where he's in there with his mind going, okay, now move this over here, and then he steps
Yeah,
in and does.
it is
That's the
kind of
way
like that.
I try to think of it, where it's your assistant and not it's you're not working for it, it's working for you,
Right.
and you're in command of this
That's
thing
true.
until it
That's
takes us
true.
over and kills us all, which probably won't happen
Right.
until
And
next year.
that
So
might happen too,
yeah,
So, but so the AI that you said that I've been getting into it now. I was never totally against it, but I was never 100% for it, but I do accept it. So in Photoshop, when I draw, I could utilize stealing images and I could run a filter on it and I could do some outlines and sort of cheat and be like, yeah, I just painted that. Or I could chop it if I need a pose of a woman and I don't really have a girlfriend at that time, or a woman, or I don't get the right pose. I may have to take a bunch of models online and maybe I need her arm up and she's doing a deodorant commercial. I don't know, but like I need to go find an arm up. I may even have to take a photo of myself
yep.
and then make it skinnier and more feminine and chop it and put it onto the body and the face that I like. So I
Or take
basically
three
assemble.
photos and put them together,
Yeah. So I'm
you're
doing that kind of stuff anyway. So that's kind of what AI is doing. It's chopping and pasting and doing all these kind of things. But so what I've gotten into was this thing. It's a lot of AI, I guess has it, but you can upload your own art and your own sketch, and then you have a scale of 0 to 100. So 0 is completely AI. It won't even look at your sketch. 100 is it's gonna look at your sketch and just clean it and
yeah.
sort of analyze it and sort of perfect it also by the prompts that you put. So you could be like smooth, streamlined, futuristic car, Lamborghini, Transformers, whatever. So I'll put in some graffiti and I'll outline it, and it literally will fill in the front faces, the 3D, but it might give some techie transformer paneling and little bolts and nuts. But the more I bring it to the 0 to where it's more AI driven, it's going to completely change my sketch to a morphed version. Right in the middle, it's almost like it doesn't say life. It's like this weird ass shit.
Yeah,
But
it's
when I
bad with
bring it,
letters.
it's terrible with letters until I started doing it. And that's what I mean is like, it's crazy when you can actually, so the software I'm using, I'll just say it is viscom.ai. It's very pushed on helping the artist use the AI. So what it's like doing is like, it's literally analyzing your photo. So how, you'd have to go look and see what I'm talking about. Like I even have a YouTube video analyzing like my drawing of a character. He's got these big ears and he's this long head, like a high top fade, like the old 90s hairdo.
Kid and Play.
Yeah, Kid and Play. And it like fills in skin tones and volume, right? Light and shadow and skin tones, but it literally keeps the same volume and shape, the high top, everything. And it's like it's amazing. So what it's kind of doing is like filling in based off of what is reality. Like there's a light bulb here. You could see on my face the highlight there, the volume's there. You could say like red light below chin. And you know, it'll take that same character drawing and you can make a few. So you can also use pen and draw on it. So you set up layers inside of the app and you draw like the red light and maybe you put a light source and you type in like LED under chin and it will literally light it up. It's amazing the way, but it's all about like, if you're going to go all the way to the 100, then you're all in AI world and it's going to give you some like mostly Asian funny, but like a woman, an Asian woman, like with this lit up under chin and like,
it's like you're deep in the uncanny valley at that point.
Yeah. So I just try and then you can also select things and edit them and be like, so say if I have a L, right, and there's a 3D part, say if I want the back part, if it looks like a speaker and maybe I want black plastic and metal front, you could select the 3D part and that back panel, you could literally say like brown leather and it will put it in there, but with the right shading and the right lighting. It's crazy. So it's really you know, it's an amazing thing that I'm looking at as a tool, but it can be a crutch if you lean on it for too much. That's like anything, auto tune, like that's like a DJ that press the sync button too much and he kind of forgets how to beat match. He knows how to beat match, but maybe he just wants to get to the next mix and he's just gonna put it in and they're similar BPM and he's just gonna hit the match and then it matches up. He's done the hard shit before, like myself. I've done all the hard rendering of painting, but this kind of stuff, man, I mean, I could show you examples, like I could share my screen, but it's like it's crazy, man. Like the shit that it can do, and within seconds, like I did like monkey man, like half monkey, half man. I drew this samurai looking monkey man, and he's like this, and I already did him, and I already drew him. I put that in, and I made the slider slightly more AI. It gave me like a realistic version, and it was like half man, half monkey. It was like kind of like the Planet of the Apes looking dude, but better because mine had like this sort of hip hoppy clothing with like a vest and like neon on his like the cyber video game there, like neon on his collar, bro. Like the shit it was giving me, and then I was like feminine, like, and then it was still giving me a girl with kind of like monkey ears and sort of like a monkeyish look. But I mean, I almost want to show you now, but I don't know if like the screen.
No, I've done it before. Yeah. It should work.
So the screen sharing, all right.
So this is, you said this is Viscom
.ai, yeah, viscom.ai. And it's all private too. That's the difference with this. Midjourney and Stable Diffusion, they all go through like Discord, so anyone could get your images. This is literally, can you see my screen now?
No, you hit share screen.
Oh, okay. So
I am looking at this website though. It's pretty freaking wild.
So Chrome, I guess, is this showing Chrome?
Yep, I can see it now.
All right, so look, this right here, I just got to move some stuff. This is my art, right? This is my real piece that I did. This is real 3D, real sculpted. Every little bit of her is sculpted. All these
sculpted
pieces.
As in, so this is
so sculpted in this software called ZBrush. It's a digital sculpting software.
So is that if you can you turn that around and see the back?
Yeah. I'm not in that software right now. But like, if I let me know if this is only showing. I believe this is only showing. Sorry, I can't think out loud. Chrome, right? It's not showing everything, right?
It's just showing your Chrome. There's some like open browsers at the top, but I can't even see what they are. But I have my glasses.
All right. But just trust me that she is like 3D right now. This is a still version, but like I had to spin like all those little pores, her lips, all the little bumps on her lips are my sculpting up and down, up and down. This
So when
these
you say
shapes.
sculpt, like, can you kind of
All right, let
explain
me
what?
share. Hold on, let me stop sharing that and then share like a browser. So ZBrush. All right. Okay, I'm in ZBrush, right? Look, this is this is what I mean by things when you take the easy way out, or this is a preset. Easy, right?
Yeah,
It's already
you can
built
do
for
a lot
me.
with that. Yeah.
You could do a lot. You could go now. I just subdivided it, right? So if you look real close, there's all these polygons, right?
Hmm.
If I subdivide it, meaning I chop it up, now it's smoother. You see that difference?
Mhm.
Very, see the polygons, how they're
Yep.
like big, big, and then I'm gonna chop it up to where there's many millions of polygons and it's smoother. You see the difference?
Wow.
So you just it's slicing every square into 4 and then into 8 and then into 16 and up and up and up and up till it's really high resolution. And you could do sculpting like this,
Jesus
right?
Christ. Can you imagine how long it would have taken to do that, what you just did when James Cameron made Terminator 2? Like,
I know, it's crazy.
that would have
But
taken 6 months to do what you just did.
but check this out, right? So say if I want to make a pause, right? I'm gonna do big ones, but pause, and I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, and I can move all around and make a pause. Or I could literally take a little alpha, like a shape, like a black and white shape, and I could set the brush to spray, and it sprays them.
Wow.
It's just taking one thing and duplicating it all around. So this is why I'm not mad at this computer or any kind of digital tools because they're innovative and helpful. Like
Yeah.
if I want to make a bunch of bricks, it's going to take forever, but I could take one or two since they're monotonous sort of things.
Right. And just duplicate. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's all. I just think a lot of these laborsome, but this is how you sculpt in 3D, you
Well, the
know?
thing is, it's like with any sort of technology, there's going to be people that are good at it and people that are bad at it. And it's like, in the end, it's like the people that are good are going to show you why it's really art and like not
Right.
just something doing something. It's like there's going to be a competition to be the best at AI art and if you use it the
Yeah.
best way.
So now that we're gonna go back to this now, right? I 100% agree that are you taking the easy way out or are you using it as your bitch? Like, are you being its bitch and gonna
Yeah.
front like, oh yeah, I did that. Like I took a bunch of loops and I threw them together. That's my song. It's like, really? Like,
Yeah.
did you? Or okay, I could give you some credit, but what if you take the MIDI and what if you play some of it? What if you make your own bass lines? What if you chop the loops and
Yeah.
assemble them in a better, more unique, authentic way? I could give you a little more respect. I love
Right.
sampling, but I also think sometimes it is literally just taking something that was already good and adding doper drums and
Well,
doper
your
things.
your
But
new U track really did sick stuff with
oh,
samples. I love that song, man. That beat,
thanks,
like
man. Thanks,
that.
thanks. I
It's
like
just because
happy you like that one.
it would like flip. I mean, that's a sample that the vocal sample is obviously one you recognize,
Yeah,
but like you
vocal
flipped it in a
mostly.
really
Yeah,
like
yeah.
unique way. I
It's yeah,
loved it.
Busta Rhymes. Yeah.
Yeah,
So back to thanks, man. I'm glad you know that song. Yeah, like
cool.
a lot of times, like I treat visual art, my music is the same way. I've been doing that for 12 years. You just get better and better. And like I used to take loops from, I started in GarageBand and I would grab those loops and I'm like, oh, wow, cool. It's syncing up. And I was like, but I don't like the kick or I don't like the snare in that. It sounds weak, like a rock and roll snare. I want like a hard, grungy hip hop type snare. So this other loop would have that kind of snare, but the other maybe drums I didn't like, the hi-hat and the kick. So I would chop it so I would just get the snare and then I would
Yeah,
place it in
yeah.
volume, basically reassemble new things. And so I think when you get into that craft of it, so
Mhm.
this is for me, like this is AI looking at my drawing after just clicking one button, right?
And just look at the emotional spectrum that changed. It's like the eyes are so much. It's like it's an entire different expressive, but
Right.
it's still the same base drawing. That's incredible.
But that was their painterly version. So this is 100%. It's gonna look at my art right here, right?
Mhm.
I'm gonna click render within 2 seconds. Let's see what it gives us. Or I mean, not 2 sec. Oh, my bad. I gotta press the button. But this little zoom thing is in the way. How do I move that? All right, generate. So
Yeah.
it's gonna analyze what I got, and then it's gonna give me a version, but it's gonna be 90.
Wow.
See how it almost looks like Asian,
Yeah.
right? So it's
Yeah.
90% my art. Now watch when I put it like 50% my art and 50% not my art. Watch what the twisted ass shit it's gonna give you. It's crazy. So this is a little different than I would say generalized AI. Look at that. It's like
But that's
it's
still that looks. I mean, I mentioned Uncanny Valley before. That doesn't look that bad in terms. I mean, it looks good. It doesn't. It
yeah.
looks like. I mean, yours looks very human, but that's it's pretty impressive.
I'm gonna give you a better example. So you have to type in and specify. See how that was like a
Yeah.
generalized Asian looking woman? This
Mhm.
one I wrote Brazilian woman, brown skin, half monkey, half hoodie, right? I know that sounds fucking weird, but bro,
Hey,
like you're like, hey,
we're in weird
hey,
times,
works.
man. We're in weird times.
What's this? So I'm gonna go down into the history. If it's taking a moment, it's probably
It's cool,
like
man.
we're online too and like streaming.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely. I'm pushing every time I get a computer. I'm pushing the boundaries of it way too fast.
So bro, like this is my well, that's my art, but it has a rendition. I gotta find
Love
mine.
those colors. Man, that pink, the pink and blue combination like that always gets me. It's fucking gorgeous.
Yeah, that kind of neons and
Yeah,
let
I
me
love that
just
shit.
all right. I'm gonna bring this in, right? So this is my real sculpture. I actually did this, sculpted his nose, sculpted the hair. This is sort of and his hands praying, right?
Yeah.
I did all the lighting. It's all in Blender. I set up the blue and the glowing headphones. I did the right. I
Uh-huh.
brought this in and look at the kind of stuff it gives you when it looks and analyzes. I went from, hold on, sorry, I'm just like, there's
Yeah.
a lot going on. That monkey image brought me to her,
Wow.
but I'm going to show you like the history of like every time I clicked and wrote in different prompts and I did how much percentage. Dude, it's crazy. So it's
That white one looks pretty
this
crazy.
one, it's really looking at my art and trying like to
Oh, I love
simulate it,
that.
but give it more of sort of a painty look.
Yeah.
This one's getting a little more realistic because I'm bringing the lever and it's starting to mix real hair, real sort of people's skin, right? And then like, look at this, dude. A woman,
Wow.
a
That's
girl, but the
beautiful.
same lighting and the same idea. But it's like now I started to type in like female, ninja, monkey style, whatever, right? Bro, as I keep going and going, like it's just, and I'm talking about seconds, like within seconds, it'll spit me out that. Look at the headdress, like alone, like her headgear, the variety of like choices of like, that's a heart, right? I'm gonna give you maybe, I'll go way down. Look at this. This is like completely, it's monkey girl sort of painty looking. This one was I typed in like Indian and it was like giving me more of an Indian girl, but it still looked twisted, right?
Yeah.
And then oh, wait until you see these
Look at through the
dudes.
looking
Look,
glass
this is
now.
like more of like a
Oh.
realistic dude. Now think about
And
if
look
you
at
have
all
a
the detail
whole
in the fingers it added too.
yeah, bro.
That just added all that whole new
I
dimension of
mean,
the
the fingers
hand.
are a little messed up, but
Right,
like, you
yeah.
know, like
Fingers
look at the flowers on his like shoulders is kind of feminine, right? So obviously there's things you would, but like the ears, it took my headphone ears and thought that they were like light, like glowing behind a human's ears. But since I had the words monkey, man, it's giving me monkey style ears. But dude, watch when I even go further on to the AI. This is like a different girl and somehow the AI was giving me gloves and hands. So like I'm not mad at this shit. Like to know that say if you're gonna come up with a whole
right.
like aliens movie and you need the team of spaceship people and their outfits. Look at like the clothing, right? That it's given me all based off of my monkey that I had. This
Yeah.
is like tweed, whatever, like wool. Watch, look at this little fucking outfit.
Yeah.
Like, look at that coat.
I'd
Like,
wear that.
I know, I'd
Like,
rock that. So uh and again like the this I kind of went back more to my drawing on the scale of 0 to 100. I was kind of like no, you know, it's getting too far away. This one is really dope. You know, you'd have to fix up her the little glowing things on her ears. Her hands, their fingers are still messed up, so an artist like myself would have to come in. But I started to type in more words like cyber punk, cyber world, futuristic military. dude, watch though.
It's so weird how for for most of our lives, we heard AI is coming. And like it just seemed like it was just like, oh, AI will eventually be here. And now it's just here. And it's like it's here even faster than I could have imagined.
Look at this like boy kind of girl looking, sort of like young. Oh, dude, this one was way more on the monkey side.
Oh wow.
But like, come on, bro. That's like incredible. This thing,
Yeah.
I'm saying I pressed the button and it gave me that in seconds. Like I could click. So this is the history, and then it brought me back to mine, which is totally weird. Like some people would post that and be like, "That's awesome." Me, I
Right.
wouldn't do that. Like, but the aesthetic, the idea is okay. This one's kind of fucking cool. This dude looks like he should be in a movie. Like,
Yeah.
look at the head, the glasses on his head. That just put that there by seeing stuff that was in my art. This
That's
is
the guy
all
that
based.
takes you to meet the other guy.
Yeah, exactly. He takes you in that little between shit.
Mm-hmm.
But think about the lighting. It's still paying respect to like my glowing underneath, the purples and the blue tones. And like I said, like, so then, bro, I started to go way out of this and I got to her. So look at this weird ass shit.
Wow.
That was way on the AI side. And it starts giving you this trippy shit. And I'm like, I'm
What's
all
kind
set
of
with.
weird about it too is that like it keeps a consistent emotional tone amongst the pictures. Like it somehow, though it's doing all these different things, it's making decisions that somehow lead to a consistent tone, which is
Yep.
interesting.
So this, I just spit her back out of the history, put her on the top layer, right? Because there's all these layers, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, just a second.
No, that's cool.
So this is the layers, that was if I wanted to make her elf ears, right? I could literally, so I take the paintbrush, I select colors and I draw in some ears and I try, I'm an artist, so I know how to do
Yeah.
this kind of shit, right? And I draw it in roughly even. I mean, obviously, like I'm doing this for a demo
Right.
for
Yeah.
you, but I could go in there and get all like
I trust that you
fancy.
can draw a better ear than that if you will.
Yeah, you know what I'm
But
saying?
still, it's dope though.
I
It's
want the
like,
idea, but I'm given the basic idea, right?
yeah.
That there's some stuff going on there. I'm gonna move it over here. Real, just give me a sec, just to get it
Oh,
kind of right.
I love watching it.
Now, my bad. So then you select. I like everything else in there, right?
Mhm.
And you could select and only edit. You shift select, and then I have to, I'll type in like so it still has my old prompts and it looks at the words from the beginning. So I'm gonna write like elf ears, uh backlit, right?
Mhm.
And now there's a render mode, which will give you a lot of AI or 100% your art, but still AI influence. And then there's refine mode. It's going to look at your drawing and refine it exactly. So it's going to give me an illustration look
Mhm.
with these blue and orange, very hard strokes. Or 80%, 50%, it's going to kind of look at everything and say, what does he really mean by that? Look at, so I'm going to press generate. Watch within seconds what it's going to give us. And it's also going to, look at the elf ears prompt. You see what it gave me?
Yeah.
And I don't really like that. So I'm
Right,
going to
but
go
still.
further into the AI and it's going to look at my prompt more. I wrote erms. I didn't write ears. So you also got to know how to spell, right? Now it's going to try again, looking at my words and 40% my art, 40% what is it? 60% my words. But until you like it. So
Right.
let's say actually, so I'm refining my drawing, right? So let me refine my drawing
That's
and
cool looking.
say confirm. Now it's still selected. Now that I refined that, so it's actually drawn better. Now I'll go more towards the AI side since it's got a little something better to work with. And like, I mean, it's just crazy. Like within seconds, it's sort of rendering me ears. And maybe I'll have to put in something like realistic if I want that.
Do you have the same problem that I've developed where now when you're drawing something with like a pencil or a pen and you make a mistake, you try to control Z it? Because
Yeah, yeah.
it's weird. I'm
Oh,
like, I
like when
can't,
I'm doing spray paint, sometimes I'll want
yeah.
to like
But like
Command
literally,
Z.
like, as my pen has the undo right on it, my digital pen, I reach for it on my regular pen, and I'm like, what did I do to myself? Like what?
Right?
Like how did I end up here?
Oh, totally. Like, especially when I'm in the digital zone.
Right.
So, like, see
And if
how
it
I'm
works
like,
someday, then I'll know I'm in the Matrix.
yeah, man, like, you know how they have computers now that can tell, they have AI that can tell what you're thinking. Somehow it's set up and it
Oh,
knows. It could, like, if you think of a cat, it'll like draw the cat, and it'll, or say if
wow.
you're looking at, I think they did a test where you're looking at the cat and then it knows what you're I don't know, man. This shit's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you serious? So, this is like, it's kind of working, but it's giving me a little bit mutated looking, weird looking. But you could type in better things. Like, I could even say like mechanical, like metal ears, and it's gonna like give me something that looks like they're literally like cyborg metal. But to me, like, this is like something you would want to go in. But what I was trying to say about this Viscom stuff and this like AI, that when you draw it and you have a lot of influence, like, it's important to actually orchestrate it, direct it, and to be able to like push it in the areas you want. Like, dude, look at that shit. Like, from
Yeah.
what it was and for what I was trying to get, it's kind of giving me that. You know what I'm saying? And then, like I said, when you're an artist that you already know how to refine and paint, I could take this into Photoshop and I could bend it and
Mhm.
and squeeze it and tighten it better. So it kind of looks a little more like the elf type of ear that I wanted, not like a golem ear. But those are like tweaks that
Right.
it's just, so what
It
I'm
still
seeing it
needs an
is
artist's eye. It still needs the
I
artist's,
definitely think so, yeah.
because also too, like, the mind will reject a lot of AI art just because of how, like, not right it looks. And it's like
Yeah,
it does take a certain, you can ruin
yeah.
a piece with one stroke, and it still
100%.
really takes that like certain level of, knowledge to really come up with the final product.
Yeah, and that's like, so I'm gonna give you another example. This was like when I started to realize it's
Oh, that's
looking at
cool.
my art. Like, look at that, right? This
Yeah.
character, I'm gonna show you the original drawing. I'm gonna go way down in my history and I gotta find it. Uh, well, for instance, like, let's just do it right now on the spot. So I'm gonna, so this is my real drawing, this black and white drawing,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna go into the AI of it or look at it, and I'm not going to refine my drawing because I already feel it's fine. I typed in windbreaker collar. That was me trying to look at like his clothing and sort of orchestrate, like direct how do I want this sketch of clothing. So I'm not going to do any prompt. I'm going to do 95% of my art, 5% AI, and it's going to give me volume, skin tone, and stuff like that within like, I don't know, 8 seconds. But it's gonna stay within the structure of my art. It gave me some terrible shit in the back.
Yeah,
But if you look at like how it colored, the art, it's pretty crazy. Like,
it is.
look at the
That is
lips.
wild.
So the lips are really respecting my art,
Yeah.
but it's just filling it in and rendering it. So I'm not saying this is good or bad. I'm just saying like it's fucking incredible.
Right.
And it's kind of like I'm still, that's not, obviously it's mutated, and the to get to this character took work. Like, I had to go
Right.
in and draw and clean and like fix. And I could do that also just straight up in Photoshop. So I'm not saying this is the answer or this is better. It's just an interesting tool to like get out quick ideas and to do crazy shit. Like, I'm not
You
mad at it.
still you still like, as an artist or a visual storyteller, and that is sort of I mean, I don't know. I guess I've said it before, but you're still sort of in charge of all. There's no need to really justify it, because I totally,
Yeah.
totally. It's amazing. It's
Like, this is giving me more AI based off of my drawing, and I don't want that, but I'm just doing it just to be curious. Like,
yeah,
if I type in like, see, it's obviously
yeah,
way AI, right?
yeah.
It's like
We
completely
went from
just
like Will
not.
Smith to a Kardashian. Like,
Yeah. Yo. So, but I could do like this kid. Look at this. It's
oh,
like,
that's
because there's
cool.
no prompt, so it's giving me female. It's giving me. So let me write Asian male, uh, hip hop. kid, whatever, right? So, but let me undo that, shut that off. Now it's going to look at my art and do 85%, but it may give him a slightly Asian look. I don't know what it's going to do, honestly. Asian male, because right now he's an African American male, so it's like, see how it's like lightening
Yeah.
the skin tone, but it's looking at the art. So I'm just trying to say that, like, it's not like
It's
it's
subtle
good
too.
and bad, but you have to work with it. And then you have to draw in and clean up and cut out. Look at this. Like, it's giving me like,
Yeah.
it's just crazy.
That
But
that's a
look at
cool
the
looking drawing.
ears and the hair. Like,
Right.
it's still it's giving me Asian hairstyle, like that type of hair. But it's giving me my character filled in with skin and wrinkles and volume. Is that bad? Is that good? I think it's pretty fucking incredible to like go come up with a whole scene and to do lots of things.
Right.
Like I drew this car, and I'm only playing with this shit. I'm just seeing where it's
Right. Because
going,
we're in the
but
infancy. It's like I feel like in a year from now, this is going to be so. I can't even imagine we're going to be, but it'll be so much more advanced. They'll have worked out some issues. Will we?
yeah.
Feel like hands and words are what they really got to fix.
Like this is my sketch of like, yeah, hands, but this is my sketch of like a pumpkin, right? So I'm gonna
Yep.
select the pumpkin and I typed in stylized character face, silly big mouth. I think I was looking at those other one with the teeth showing, but I'm actually just gonna go 100% and see, and it'll fill it in to look like a volume, like it'll fill it in to be colored. It may be messed up in ways, which is pretty whack actually. It's not that great. It doesn't
I do
understand
like
the
that
mouth.
though. Yeah, yeah.
Just doing another version. So, and it
But
definitely could
that's
be
something you could
twisted
work
and
with. I
dark.
like how it's almost
Yeah.
like smoke.
And this one refine kind of takes your art and refines it like just differently. So anyway, it's like I didn't want to make this whole podcast all about AI and shit.
No,
You
it's
asked,
it's that's
but
cool. I like that. Look
this
at
is
those eyes.
refining art style in a comic, like you know what I mean? Because this
Yeah.
was my art, and it's trying to give me a comic version. So this is where you could say, "Wow, AI's trained on artists,
Right.
trained on illustrators, artists," and it's actually say if this drawing was not that good. I've seen somebody put in a kid's drawing, ran this, and then it gave a pretty cool looking character
Yeah.
from the kid's drawing. You know what I'm saying? Um,
I mean, I think a lot of people their resistance to this is it makes them feel less special. And I think you got to find a
yeah.
way to make what you're doing special no matter what you're doing.
Yeah,
just
you
you got to
have
push
to
yourself.
like you just have to add the human element. You have to
Right.
it's kind of like I could mix paints or I could like buy pigments and powder and do all that labor and do it, or I could go buy
Right.
it at Blick and it's already pre-mixed. I'm halfway there. Now I could get onto the art. But if I'm like also getting the art printed, digitally printed by a drone, now I'm not doing the art at all. Now I'm
Right.
not painting the art. So it's like, but check out this sketch, right? Of this little buggy.
That's
So
real
I'm
funky.
gonna
It was like one
duplicate
of those
my,
penny racers that I remember when I was a kid.
and that's kind of, I'm gonna move this to the top. Hold on one sec. I hope it'll show. Interesting. Oh, the percentage. Uh, I gotta get a layer and put the layer underneath. And
What
hold
was the
on.
learning curve on stuff like this? I mean, so I'm somebody who's used Photoshop for 10, 15 years and I'm pretty good with it. What
Look at this drawing, dude. I literally drew this because I want to see how crude and how
Oh,
bad.
that was the original drawing?
I was like, I just go, I'm gonna make a buggy and in a swoop as hills.
That
And
looks
I'm
like what
going to
Milhouse's dad drew for Dignity on The Simpsons.
right. So now I'm just saying this is like, but I have refined drawing. So let me just show you. So this is 100% my drawing. Obviously, let me go. I have some things written in there like SUV, blah, 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 Gundam, car, realistic, glossy. And it would give me things like
That's cool
this,
looking.
but it does nothing to do with my drawing. It is cool,
Right.
but it's nothing to do with my drawing, right?
Yep.
Because my drawing kind of is like a little buggy, little wind up, like a character car.
I
So I'm like,
always love
okay,
how when good artists do quick drawings, they still have this charm to them. Like that
right.
is still better than like what a lot of people could do in like an hour.
But like you see how that kind of like still sticks. So let me see. It like I want to show you though, because I pushed it so it wasn't the AI that get I have to cancel and then I have to go over. It wasn't the AI that gave me this. Look at this badass little fucking
Yeah,
graffiti car.
it's got
Like
personality to it.
I got to go way down to let me go to the history. Actually, I forgot. I can just show you every little button that I pressed, which were hundreds of times. Oh, I started because there was a challenge. It was like type in the words like old haunted space station and you make a few squiggles and see what it gives you. And that was literally what it was giving me from I don't know what the drawing was, but it was a few squiggles similar to my thing, right?
Yeah.
And as I was squiggling, I mean, I'm saying within seconds is giving me these space stations and weird ass
Yeah.
shit. Oh,
This is
all
where
right.
if you're a
So
background artist for comic books, you might want to start looking for a new job.
yeah. So look at this. I wrote in SUV.
Oh,
Remember that crude drawing?
yeah,
I wrote in SUV and it gave me this little squished up
that's cool.
SUV and I liked it. I was like,
It's got a
oh,
lot
and
of
then
charm to it. I like it.
you see these arches and these lines in the
Yeah.
back. That's obviously me drawing better
But it
and
has
come.
almost like a Ralph Steadman feel to it, but like with like a
That's
modern
wow. I just
twist.
looked up Ralph Steadman recently, and you know what I like about Viscom? You can't type in artist names. It'll say no, sorry,
That's
we
cool.
respect artists. We're trying to make
Yeah.
sure the AI. So then remember, so this is that SUV, right? And then look at this version. This is me
Oh,
drawing from that SUV. I drew. It's not showing my drawing, but I
right.
did. That's my black and white pen and ink drawing, and it's a little more techy and it's less like realistic SUV drawing,
Oh,
right?
but I love it.
And then look, it's starting to give me like more, and then I'm like, it's cool, but I'm lost my drawing, and basically it goes on to where you get deeper. Remember, those are my arches, those bridges, things in the background
Yeah.
and it's sort of simulating all those things like and then it's giving me these other kind of futuristic little bug I would type in the word like sand dune buggy so now it's like going through the internet weird madness or the AI brain and it's
That's
finding
nice.
buggies and it's like but now it was giving me dark background and I'm like no I need like lighter back and then it gave me this super ill car which is completely different and I'm like nope that's not the way I want it I want to go back to my shit and now look, it's kind of, and I'm going down further and further to where it's starting, and then I have to paint out the back to like a lighter color. Now I'm like, okay, I'm digging it. It's like a little bug. Oh, this is my light blue. I'm painting the smoky background to bring it away from the background. So I'm kind of like, I'm basically like kind of hand redoing it. This gave me like a jungle, but I lost the art.
Yeah.
It's like a little more illustration looking. And I'm like, no, that's like oh, this was like a different look at this weird thing
Oh,
it put in there, but it's
love
trying to
those
make it.
colors.
I love the colors. This was like a mode, so you could go into these kind of trippy, colorful
Yeah.
modes,
Like
but it's a little
vaporwavy.
more illustration looking.
Yeah.
It's a little more like artsy, but like generic artsy, and
Mhm.
it gets away from like this is a completely stylized, artistic way. You see what I mean? So
Yep.
like it's not just you just press a button and it's gonna be perfect because then like you lose what you had. So now look at this. Now I'm like, ooh, I love those colors and I love what it's given me, but still the buggy is a little more generalized in this generic
Yeah.
illustration way. Like those don't look like windows,
It
like
doesn't have as
something's
much character. It doesn't.
so I went further and further until I started to get this. And like it's not when you draw a layer and you show that the history is only showing you what the AI gives. My layers are my personal layers. I'd have to go out, get them, and then
Yeah,
copy it
Dragon Man. Yeah.
and drag it up. So, but basically, I would give like iterations and redraws and blah 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 all the way until I came up with this little dude. And like those windows are badass. Like, but it also has to do with the prompts I put in, the type of futuristic robots, like
Yeah.
cyber, like Gundam, like Japanese robots, whatever, like all the things that I kind of aesthetically would want in this car. So, and that's kind of where I went with the graffiti that I was doing as well. Like, bro, this shit's like on some new level that I've never seen the variety of things it can give me. Like I painted in, this is all based off of my graffiti lettering, and it
Ooh.
gave me like this is underwater, but this is all based off of life letters.
Yeah.
Like I'll have to go out for a second, and we could wrap this up quick because I know like I'm just gonna try my best to like
Have you
give.
have you played with AI video at all?
No,
I have a
some
little
of that
bit.
is a
It's
little weird to me. It's
yeah.
cool, but it's also kind of like skippy and junky in ways. But
Yeah. But like if you think like I wonder if you could take this and just say at a point where you're like, okay, almost like stop motion animation with it, where you tell it how to move it each step, like that seems like something we'll
yeah,
be probably doing pretty soon.
yeah, there's gonna be everything and anything. Like I made like these black lines coming out of the E, and then I painted like a little bit of red circle with a black line, and I typed in like buoy
Yeah.
floating, and it turned it in. I wrote like technical chords, tubular like chords with the buoy, and it sort of gave me this better rendered chord because I
Yep.
drew the swoop, I drew the black, but I typed in chord and it gave me the volume, like the plasticness,
Yeah.
the
The
techie
Yep.
digital chord. I drew in a really crude looking buoy and it gave me that buoy. So I'm gonna try to move this to the top and see what that was. Oh, this is me. All right, painting, right? I painted in. Sorry, I know it's I painted in these lines. Can you see my mouse moving?
Yep.
I painted this black lines because I wanted gills, like to look like it was mechanical shark or some sort of aquatic. So I made these black strokes, then I made the light blue highlights, and then the mechanical. That's my paint layer, right? I fixed up the E. That's my paint layer. This was my paint layer. When I
Uh-huh.
shut it off, this is what it gave me. A cleaner version of it. You see what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yep.
Based off of my
Shadowing
prompts
and
and based off of what I'm telling it, like clean, smooth, future, car design, like mechanical, plastic, whatever, right? So it knows that I'm trying to paint smooth panels and plastic with cuts. And it knows that I'm trying to make it in 3D because it has the highlight and the shadowing, but it just gives me a cleaner version of it.
yeah.
Like I'll select it right now and I'll show you like the prompt run. I'll show you what it'll do. So you see how it's kind of painterly, like
Yep.
kind of mushy, which is fine. But right now I'm gonna give it 85% of my art and what is it, 15% or whatever percent AI, and it's gonna clean it up and give me a result. And it even gave me glowing. You see how it's like
Yeah.
glowing? Now, watch this. So if I undo that, cancel that, and if I go way over in the AI side, watch how morphed out and not like my drawing it's going to be. This is where I think the artist really plays a huge role in AI. It's going to give me some digital weird ass mechanical. See, it's going to give
Yeah.
me all kinds of shit that has nothing to do with
Yeah.
my drawing. It only has to do with the prompt. So that's where I'm respecting this, and I actually can see where I could use it to push into. See, this was only 30% of my drawing.
Mhm.
It's not giving me, it's giving me sharp, jaggedy stuff that I
Yeah.
wouldn't do a letter like that. It's
Right.
giving me robotic mechanical stuff. That's why I think you can kind of tell when somebody's using AI and they're just the computer's doing it, but they're not really having a say.
Mhm.
And this is me going closer to my art, only 45%. It's still pretty close to what I drew.
Yeah.
So that's where I got out all this. So it's all based off of
Such a cool
life,
piece.
LIFE letters, and it's just mechanically driven by a lot of my prompts, a lot of my cleanups, these chords and plugs. It's crazy, bro. Like the shit that it's giving me, I'm really digging it.
It's
Like I
so nuts.
said,
Like what you just showed us. Nobody like who was like the art like that didn't exist 10 years ago. It's just so wild to think that like we're just in these uncharted territories of
Yeah, man.
it's such an exciting time to be doing this shit.
Those I agree. The same lettering, man, like with a little more Asian aesthetic
Oh, cool.
and but like I drew these rock circles and then I gave it a prompt to say like realistic rock stacked and it gave me
Mhm.
more rendered volumes. I I actually brought in a photo of real rooftops from Japan and then I drew in really sketchy this the long posts, the long wooden posts and it gave me back better posts because I said what I wanted it to do. So this was kind of like my crude quick drawing of windows and
Yeah,
red posts, you see, and it's
yeah,
giving me versions.
yeah. The
And then this one's like in the woods. It's crazy, man. It's
cool.
fucking unbelievable.
That's
I'm not
awesome.
mad at it. Like this is another version,
Oh, I love that.
but I lost my lettering. You see, the
Yeah,
letters are
yeah,
getting chopped up and mangled, but I love a lot of it. But that's where you have to come in and clean and cut. It's some crazy shit. Definitely I'm trying to like harness it and sort of utilize it. There's another example here, like, let me see. And my bad, if you want to kind of direct us in a different way,
no, man, that's totally cool,
if
man.
we're
It's all
going
good.
way too heavy on this, I guess it's a
No,
kind of
it's super interesting
this
to
was
me.
a bonsai tree that I made, and then I brought like this whole thing started from a bonsai tree that I drew out, and it was kind of like filling it in with purple leaves. I typed in I want purple leaves, but I drew the basics of this bonsai tree. I could go show you. It's the same idea of what I was saying. Uh, but there's so many ways. Like look at that sunset. This would
Yeah.
be more of like a wintry look.
Oh, I
But
love
like I
those
said,
colors.
it takes my letters and makes them a little bit too generalized robot like
Yeah.
plastic, toy, and that's not what I want. So I need to then bring it back and dial it back and like not fight with it, but this is
Yeah.
me going with those
Dance with
drawings.
it.
Yeah. But yeah, man, this shit
So
was
what do
like
you so this is gonna be out around December. What are you working on? That's what I guess how about this?
so I'll stop
2024.
sharing this for now.
That's cool.
That
Like
was
what do you
interesting stuff.
that's such cool stuff, man. Like it's amazing. It's because it's like it's interesting too, because I've played with it a little bit, but a lot of the AI art you see online is done by people who aren't really artists. So to see what somebody
Right.
who's already an amazing artist can do with it is truly
Thank you.
remarkable. So,
Yeah, I'm digging it. Like I said, like even with in the 3D world, like when you're making 3D objects, you could utilize preset bodies like a human body and you could sculpt on top, or you could literally take digital clay, pull out the nose, pull out the ears, do it all from scratch. It's up to you, but I definitely think you have to put in those hours and that time and
right.
that skill and you have to know. I've been through the trenches of knowing what I'm doing with techniques and applying rudimentary art skills and foundations of art. So this is just kind of like I'm just also trying these things very cautiously.
Yeah.
So it's not like, and I'm always honest. I'm always telling people this is 50% AI, this is 50% me. I'm
Yep.
playing with it before it takes over me. I'm taking
Yeah.
over it. Like I'm learning it. Like hate on me if you want, but I'm not gonna like be afraid of what's
Me
happening
too.
because there is no stopping it. They
You
can't
can't
pull
fight
us
the
back.
future.
Right. And I don't like, what I'm saying? I think credibility should go to the right people who started something. So there has to be some way to credit artists. But a lot of artists that are afraid of my style, this is my technique, they're also very stuck on their style and their ego is attached to a crutch
Ego.
of
Yep.
something that I made and now everyone could get it. It's kind of like with
That's the
sampling.
world
It's
we're
the
living in,
same
man.
idea with sampling.
Yep.
Although a lot of the older artists don't like that hip hop sampled their music. Some people are like, you
Yeah.
know what? I kind of like it. It gave a new ear, a new fresh take
Right.
on it.
And it upped
And you
my
added your own
streams.
stuff and it helped my whole thing. And now I'm a
Yeah.
millionaire for life. Like,
Yeah.
because you've just sold, who is it? Like Sting that gets $1,000 a day
Yep.
from Diddy or some
Yeah.
shit like
Diddy's
that.
having a rough day.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Oh, I
even too
heard, yeah.
like Fabulous, like that's his big song Breathe. He had to sign 100% of that song over to get the sample. And
Crazy.
they're like, why would you do this? He's like, I toured around the world in this song. Like he's like, this
Right.
song gave me my entire career. It's
Some things have another effect and a higher purpose, like not just the monetary But like you said, like now he could play it, and now it could still be on the radio, or he could tour with it.
I can't be super precious about stuff like that. I sometimes, I know some artists are, but like I can't be that precious about my own art. Like I remember somebody once when I was like cutting up a record, I was scratching a record, and it was like a Black Sabbath record, like, ooh, wow, what are you doing to that record? I'm like, there's
Right.
millions of these. Go to a yard sale and get another one. I know it's
Oh yeah,
amazing,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
whatever,
Like
but it's
this
like
is that
let's not
record.
be so precious, you know?
Yeah, like when I do, I learned that with graffiti when I go paint something, a lot of the public spaces or there's a public graffiti alley, and it's like if you go in there and you do some dope piece, you got to get a picture of it because it's gonna get pukey shit crap all over it the next day. Somebody's not gonna look. There's no kind of etiquette. There's no kind of respect. It's just a big free for all. And you just got to, even back in the day when there was respect or whatever, sometimes there'd be beef or there'd be
Yeah.
a reason why somebody went over you. Or you got to, if you're going to go over me, it's got to be better.
Yeah.
Or maybe I had enough time and now it's your turn. There has to be some justifiable reason, but don't just go ruin it. Nowadays, shit just gets ruined. Or if you just think of it being buffed by the city, so you just gotta kind of detach, and
that shit's so wild.
It's
like,
a thin line, man.
It's a thin line. Shit. I hate that. Like I whatever.
It's a thin line though, like because I wouldn't like say somebody if you right had some AI take your voice or let's say somebody steal your lyrics and just rearrange them or take the same exact flow and cadence but put their own words and you're like, yo, like that was my song. What the fuck?
And like, now we have Mac Miller rapping Eminem songs, and that's
really
there's
there's
videos
of it.
That. It's
oh, that's weird. Oh, like
weird.
his AI voice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just fucked up.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad he's not here to hear it. Oh, I wish he was here, but you know,
like my art one time, one of my pieces I saw on the internet was on bedspreads and pillows, and it was like somebody stole the image and I'm like, that's not okay. So there has to be a credit, and plagiarism is not good, and so this is a very thin line of like it's like an oxymoron. Like I'm against it, but I'm for it. I'm not with it, but I am with it. It's kind of like graffiti too. I know it's illegal. I know it's vandalism, but I also know there's beauty in it, and it's just liquid paint. And man, this whole system's crazy anyway. And like, oh, that's government property. That's our tax money, or but there's some sort of decency that has to be. Like, I don't tag on a mom and pop store. I don't go ruin someone's house, property or their own house. Like, like it's just you have to have some sort of like respect in there.
Yeah, there's always a good reason to disrespect government land. Like not like for conservation land, but like a government building. You can come up with a million good reasons why that needs spray paint. You know.
No, I know, but there being a person who would argue and be like, yeah, but we're the general people. The taxpayers' money, and
people always love talking about the tax dollars. It's like,
it's like, dude,
start breaking down where it's really going.
Money, they just print money, and look how much money they give to everything else, and it's like they don't care. It's just this big feeding machine. Like, so
wouldn't it be nice if we had bigger problems than somebody spray painting on a wall? I mean, wouldn't that be a
yeah, I know, right? Imagine if there were, So that's kind of where it's at. Like, I'm just kind of, what am I doing in 2004?
Yeah, like 2000. Like, this is gonna come out probably close to New Year's. Any goals?
I did a recent animation. Y'all should check it out on my YouTube for a local Massachusetts artist, Aldous Collins Band, and it's a song. They hired me to animate the video, and it's called Good Day. So it came out in the summer. So this is my first time ever animating like a 4 to 5 minute long video.
How'd that go?
There's no AI. And there's
I was working on an animated video once, and I haven't finished yet. But
so it was hard, dude. It took me forever. It took me months.
I was
4 minutes took months.
Yeah, I interviewed this dude Word Burglar last night, and I told him about what my animated movie. What was happening is I started doing this animated video. It was hand. I drew it by hand, but then I put it in Photoshop to kind of finish it, and I did all the drawings and stuff like old school. And I kept doing this thing where I get so frustrated. I'm like, I'm just gonna quit. I don't have to do this. Is no one telling me I have to do this. Like, I'm just gonna quit. I resigned myself to quitting. The first thing my brain would do would go, okay, what are we gonna do next? And I go, I've always wanted to make a cartoon. And I literally was stuck in a loop where the second I resigned myself to quitting, my brain immediately went back to wanting to do the same thing. And I was this is the type of this is artist.
That's cool, the obsession. It
is. So like, in the end, it's going to be great, but like, did you go? Giving up is no longer. I run the give up out of me. You know?
Good,
for better or for worse.
Great.
It's going to kill me.
Yeah, me too. Like even if it's gonna hurt me in a way, like yeah, there's a being a man of your word. There's like a commitment. There's like even after this interview, like I got to do something like I was talking about in the beginning of the interview,
Yeah.
and I need to put some time into that and finish it up. And I do have time. It's not like a pressed issue, but
Right.
you
Yeah.
know, I could go to
Just be
bed or I could
responsible
watch
about it.
a
Yeah.
episode or I could do something, but sometimes you just got to do it, man. You just got to like zone out, and you know, it's a relief. It's a great
It is.
like there's a the artist, the art of the war of art, not the art of war.
Right.
Have you ever heard of the war of art?
I might have the Art of War. Oh no, the War of Art. I think I have that on my shelf over there. Yeah. Not
So yeah,
Machiavelli, the other one.
right. So the
Or
traditional one is
Machiavelli.
the
Yeah,
art of war.
Machiavelli's Tupac. Tupac.
Yeah. So the right, the art of war is the Sun Tzu
Yeah. Oh,
traditional
yes,
book.
that's what it is. Yeah, I'm thinking of the
Right.
Prince. I'm
You
all over
probably
the
have
fucking
that,
place.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
there's a
do.
play
I'm sure I
on
have that.
words
Yeah.
called The War of Art, and it's by Stephen Pressfield.
I think I do
And
have that though. I think I
oh,
have that one
good.
too.
For
Yeah.
creators and
I think my
artists and
girlfriend gave it to
writers.
me.
Yeah, for writers and creators. And it's kind of just the whole book sums up to being like how we all have an inner talk and a resistance every day. Like, oh no, I'll do it tomorrow, or no, I gotta go do this, or maybe I should go eat, or it's gonna take too long. Every day there's that
Yeah.
voice of resistance, and it's our own self, and it's defeating us every day from doing the thing that we need to do and sitting down and just doing the work. And I'm obviously botching what his whole book is about, but it really just tells you like you got to fight that. The minute
Yeah.
it settles in and starts to talk and doubt and speak and take you over, it's when you're going to lose to it. And it's sad, but we really have that in us like constantly. Even when it comes to asking a girl out or going on the podcast or being too worried to get up on stage, like it's this whole like self-preserved like I need to
Right.
survive, I'm panic old way of survival that the brain just sort of kicks in.
I
And you
hit
would
that
think,
point. Yeah.
yeah,
I hit that point where like I had to be forcing myself out of my comfort zone to feel like I was growing. Because it's like for me, like I went years without ever showing my face on the not that I would never really care, but I just wouldn't. And then
yeah,
my first thought was I was gonna do this podcast and like the whole every
dope.
episode under the space helmet. I was thinking about that today. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
I'm like,
gonna
can't
go on an
imagine if I
EDM
committed to that.
DJ.
Right. If I committed to that a year ago, I right now I'd be like, what the fuck did
That
I
would be
do?
miserable.
And
Yeah.
it's but it's like because that was so much I didn't want to do it, but it's like I pushed myself out of my
Oh
comfort
wow, good
zone.
for you. Yeah, man. It takes a lot of my
Yeah, and
respect. It takes
it's
a lot
just
of
like
courage, a lot of like to show up, even if it's not you're not in the best form, but you booked it with
yeah,
somebody. And you know, you're putting out a lot of these, so people really you're vulnerable because people get to know your
yeah.
personality and different things about you. And it's like that's a mad courage though. There's something great about that. And as you could see, you probably your lineage that you've gotten better and better and
Yeah.
more sort of like stepping up your game in different ways.
And even I find myself in my regular life, it's easier for me to talk to people now, like in meetings and
That's
stuff.
awesome,
It's just
man.
it's one of those things where I cannot imagine going to bed at night without feeling that I either achieved something or tried something. And I think a lot of people do that every day, and I can't
Oh
I
yeah,
can't
man.
imagine it.
I get mad depressed if I find
Too.
myself doing that, like sleeping too much or not accomplishing something throughout that day. If I'm just floundering, oh man, within only a few days, like
It doesn't
rarely it
take
ever
long.
happens, but yeah, I'm like, oh, I gotta do something.
It's
What am I
like
doing?
if you've been exercising all the time and you stop after like 4 days, your body's like, come on. It's like if you don't push it in that
That's where I'm
direction, we're
at.
gonna go
That's where I'm
hard in the
at
other
right now.
direction. Yeah,
That's
I
where
haven't
I'm
been
at
working
right
out
now.
much, but I gotta get
Physically, I've
back
been
to it.
sitting at the desk for too long.
It
And
is
now
tough,
that
like withdrawing,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, well, with this particular like part-time job that I got for a game company, and it's a lot of 8 hours literally every day sitting on the computer. So I gotta make myself. I'm gonna get a stand-up desk. I have to,
Yeah, it helps a
or
lot.
you know, just because the blood flow of the legs
You
and
get
just
used
the
to it really
muscles.
quick too.
Yeah, I've never tried it,
Yeah.
so that's cool.
Like
Good, good.
what I always recommend because I use it I go through periods where I use it a lot of times sometimes where I don't is like set
Okay,
your expectations that when you start I'll do this for 2 hours a day and then I'll do it then slowly
okay.
up because
I
like
hope I use it because I don't want to just waste the money and because I see a lot of people who don't. I don't think they use them. It's kind of
yeah
like when you buy exercise
right
equipment and it just sits there. The elliptical is like you're like, oh man. For some reason, I feel like it's like people don't use exercise equipment when it's in their house, but going out to the gym is kind of like this.
see I
But
only do it in the house
it's
because I
up
think
to
the gym
you.
is fucking gross but like
Yeah, it is. It is gross. Yeah, but no shit. That's good though. See, though, it depends on who you are and like
yeah I'm
like you
somebody who
said,
I
set
don't like
the
leaving the house at
expectation.
all. Like I work
Oh,
from
really?
home full time, and I'll go out, but like when the
You're like,
pandemic
I
started,
literally live in this box.
I
This is
essentially do. Like
I have
this is where
transcended into the computer.
my work
AI,
office
you
is
are
right here
AI.
too.
You look so real.
I know it's crazy. I'm like Max
Yeah.
Headroom. So
Yeah. I
fucking
mean,
amazing.
the background, it looks like that.
Yeah,
That's a dope background, man. It's great. I love
thanks,
it.
man. It's like I
I gotta
slowly
go
like
back to your first podcast video and see if it looks like
it
that.
does, and I'm in a different room.
You're in
I'm
the
debating if I should
bathroom and
have a
shit.
helmet. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
You do
yeah.
have the helmet back
No,
there?
debating whether I was gonna have it or not. I was really because when I was gonna do so what I created this character called Ox the astronaut, and that's sort
That's
of
cool
like
though.
yeah. I'm doing this album called I finished this album last year called Drinking Songs for Children, and it's got like Cool Keith on it, and Zarfe and
Oh
Esoteric, and
wow.
like Elza and Razcast, Young Dirty Bastard,
Oh
copyright,
shit.
and
That's
like so it's
dope.
done, but like I'm making a movie to go with it called and it's called Drinking Songs of Children, the movie. And
Oh
every
man,
song is
dude,
gonna
that's
have a
crazy.
video and there are commercials in between. And it's like it's about a third of the way done, but
I can't
hopefully
wait to hear
I
that.
can't wait to.
I shame on me, man. I gotta go follow up and
Oh,
check
no
up on
worries,
all your
man.
stuff.
It's like it's these days, there's so much content out there now. Like it's so
Yeah,
hard.
but you know,
It's so hard to keep up on anything. It's like it's there are huge shows that win Oscars and Grammys, and I've never fucking heard of them. I guess shows only win
yeah.
Emmys, but like I
No,
it's
yeah, there's totally stuff that I'm just like, I never got into that. What is the one that was on like the not the game, but the thing that was on Netflix?
oh, the Squid Game.
Yeah, the Squid
Yeah,
Game, and I was like, I just couldn't. I get it, but I'm like, I can't invest my life into that for all those seasons right now.
yeah,
So I guess I'm just gonna miss that, I just missed that. I got to see Breaking Bad. That was cool. Me and
yeah.
my
Me
ex-wife
too.
way back. I'm like, all right, good. I definitely think it was worth it and all that. But there is so much stuff that'll go under the I wouldn't even know. And then I look at it, I'm like, holy shit, that's a whole world. Like there's
Yeah.
some anime that's really big right now. And
Or like even Aztec.
yeah, yeah.
I've been meaning to watch it.
Yeah,
He
he's
does a
my
lot of
boy.
stuff with Dr. Stone. I've been meaning to just sit down and watch all of that stuff since he started doing it. I'm like, I got to be a good friend and actually watch that because I'm very excited to see it. I
What, he
just
does
want
a lot of music
he
stuff
does
or
like
video?
music and stuff for I think it's called Dr. Stone.
Oh, is it an anime? But yeah, he
Yeah, it's
does
an
the
animated show.
soundtracks. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, he does a
He's
lot of stuff with that.
keeping
But
super busy with all that kind of
yeah,
scores and soundtracks.
that dude's so talented.
Yeah, he is, man. And he keeps putting out work all the time.
Yeah.
So
Also,
that's
one of those
dope.
people who like nobody has a bad word to say about Aztec. Like,
No,
yeah, I've
no,
known him for
he's
20
solid.
years. Yeah, it's like if I heard somebody say something bad about Aztec, I would know that the person saying is there's something fucked up about
He's a
it.
hater, man.
Yeah,
Like
you're like
they
you're on
got a
my list
problem.
now.
You're like, I think you got the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's definitely solid.
All
Uh
right. Well, I'll get
Yeah,
back to your
man.
stuff. I
Yeah,
know you got some
I
work
was
you got
just
to
gonna
do.
wrap it up that like I don't really like I've been on this 3D like
Yeah.
zone to where um creating animation and avatars and different assets that can exist in the metaverse and in the worlds 3D worlds where people can own them because we're living our lives halfway digital, halfway real,
Yep.
especially with VR headsets now more and
We're
more
already
common.
cyborgs with robots on the outside of our
Yeah,
body. You know.
exactly. So as much as I'm just kind of like working on things for that and then also getting out there and painting. I always do graffiti. It's kind of like my sisters and they'll be like why don't you grow out of that? Like, aren't you too old for that? And I'm like, look, like old people go play golf. I'm an
Right.
old dude and I go do graffiti. Like,
Right.
that's my culture. And that's kind of like what I go do for fun. I go play with paint
People
and
get
just
stuck in
kind of,
this idea that because when we were kids, there was no older hip hop people, and they think that it shouldn't exist. But we are the first generation of older hip hop
yeah,
people. Well, the people slightly above us, but we're just determining what it looks like to be 50 in hip hop. And it's like that's
exactly.
kind of an exciting thing. It's you know.
Yeah, it's cool. And it is interesting to see how that kind of
And
turns into those
tomorrow, Andre
leisure
3000 is
time.
dropping his flute album. It's like that's where we're at.
No, yo,
That's
I
dropping in
saw
like an
the
hour.
image. He was on his knees with a flute. I was
I
like,
know.
yo, that's gonna be crazy.
If that's your
Is
thing,
it is it
man.
really all flute? No.
That's allegedly what I heard is it's all flute album. It's
Oh, that's crazy.
I know.
But it's probably
It's
some futuristic fruit
I'm
flute.
sure people are gonna sample the shit out of it too. So
Yo, definitely. But like he's probably been on a quest learning all these different instruments and like, when you make it to that successful level, like you could just be a ninja and go away and go travel the world and learn things like imagine, you know, getting that kind of financial success and world notoriety, and then also just kind of like going off the grid and just kind of doing things that most of us, well, I can't afford to go do, but there are so many things in the world like I'd be doing if I had the finances to be able to explore and just even appreciate like everything, not just go travel like as a tourist, but like learn, take on classes, take on everything. Like
live in the control of ego that it has to have for people to go, yeah, people aren't going to be screaming my name every night, and I'm okay with that. And it's like like Jon Stewart kind of did that too, where it's like he took when he went to finish the Daily Show, he's like, I'm going to do exactly what I want to do, and I don't. It's like it'll be a smaller audience, but he's totally true to who he is, and people still love him. You know?
Yeah. Same with that CK, that comedian there.
Who, Louis CK?
Yeah, Louis C.K.
People don't like him as much anymore because of his waving his dick around. But like, yeah,
right.
That show, Louis, though,
but he has. I don't really know too much about what happened and what he did, but like, I know it's a lot of stuff, but the thing I saw later, just meaning like sold out stadiums to now basically he's on a podcast where he has a core group of diehard fans. He has like a website and membership type stuff. And puts out, you know, things and swings his dick to a smaller audience. You know what I mean?
His show was amazing. They did this 3-episode arc where he was in line to take over for Letterman, and he was competing against Jerry Seinfeld, and David Lynch was playing his like mentor guy. And I'm a huge Twin Peaks fan. I'm like, this is the pinnacle of television. It was such a poignant like 3-episode thing. It was beautiful. I have to go back and watch it. It's been years since I've seen it.
Yeah, you're geeking out on the TV.
I just get so.
What would you say? What would you like? Directing, being.
I like writing because for me, my favorite thing in the world is making someone laugh, and I just love jokes. I really love a good joke. I love well written jokes. Because I'd never seen Big Bang Theory before because I always assumed it sucked, and I started watching it last week. There's a lot of fucking great jokes in the show and great performances.
Right. I don't watch it much, but I know that there's good humor in there.
And it's like I thought it was just shitty because I think 2.5 Men guy did it, and I never liked that show.
Oh, okay. I just happen to not. It's like one of those things where I just happen to not watch it, and like the Harry Potter movies, I've never seen one, and I know there's a ton of them, and I just never saw it. You know, it's just something that I just kind of dropped out on. There's even hip hop like music albums that I'm just like I should have. I can't believe I don't know it. Damn, you know what I mean? So it just depends on what it is. But
I know,
and there's more
albums
and more.
that you're hoping nobody quizzes me on. You know, I
one?
remember there was a time where Lupe Fiasco was supposed to be rapping like a Tribe Called Quest song on stage, but he didn't know any of the lyrics. I think people just assumed he would know them, and he was just like, I don't know, man. What am I?
That's like, so weird. Yeah. But whereas we probably would old school kind of 90s golden era. But yeah, you know, and then there's all these new people that I don't even know who they are or what type of drop in hip hop, trappy kind of stuff is out there that I'm just like, yeah, man, I missed that maybe. But yo, thanks for having me, man. I know we could go on and on, and we've been chatting for an hour and a half or something. But
come back sometime or something.
I guess like we kind of went into this weird little segue of AI. If that's what it is, that's what it is. I mean, you could cut out or edit some things if you want that to just be a little bit, but it's up to you.
I don't give a shit. It's like it's not like I'm paying by the second here. It's like that stuff's all super interesting to me.
Man. It's just we're just geeking out on some current events and things that are happening. But no doubt, I appreciate you, man, for inviting me. I really
appreciate you. You too. After all these years, man, I feel like I've known you.
Maybe I'll see you if I enter the internet someday, since you don't exist in the physical world.
Whenever you're watching Tron, just know that I'm in there somewhere.
All right.
That's the dream. All right, man. It's been a pleasure.
I know it is. All right. Peace, bro. Peace, man. Thanks.
Meet Ann with wings clipped, quick to flip manuscripts, cause her man went from damaged kid to damn he's rich, but she still can't stand the way he manages to never put nickels in the can for the cancer kids. Plus he cheats at cornhole and brags that he won, so she lost interest like porno after she comes. My DM started jingling, baby, as it was done. 2 seconds later I can hear the snapping of her gums. She calls me half Dodge Challenger, half Lip Gallagher. I'm happy that I luckily sat next to her in algebra. I tried to hold her down, but I just couldn't balance her between the million meetings that I keep in my calendar. Plus odds aren't too sloppy that I know why my cell is blowing up probably, but I should check just as well. Call the cops, see if I can get a hold and tell if that's copyright's yell raising hell inside the holding cell. Some loving, some loving. That's just some loving. the smoke from the cookout. The bushes in the parks with the lookout. Fresh Prince, summertime on the radio. Throwback Friday, yo, the ladies know. Then I'm a smooth type guy. Listen, I'm the shit I need, 2-time ply. Part of my soul on my head sky high. The weed smoke cover my body, so I try. Put a scent on like sunblock. Summertime's body season, so keep your gun cocked. I count beers in the cooler, cause when the fun stops, that's when the arguments happen. And the gunshots, it's summertime. Backyards where we play cards. Spitting in cipher, the homie trade bars. Dominoes slam on the table, we take charge. I got a style you can make love.